Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today. This is of course Night Owls and I do believe it's something like the 10th or something like that. Somewhere around that. We're deep into July now. And of course that means summer is full on here for me, which is not a good thing. It's a bad thing. But I have this modern convenience on Darrow. It's called air conditioning and it's great.
Yeah, it helps. It
Yeah.
might honestly be mankind's greatest invention, the old condenser.
Now,
That's
I would say it's the best implementation. Oh God, of the 20th century.
implementation. There you go.
Implementation. Thank you, of the 20th century. To be
Yeah.
sure, I would agree. But hopefully, everyone out there is doing really, really well. It sounds like I don't know if the word double down can be used. We need a new word, Thundero.
Uh-oh.
We need
Uh-oh.
quintillioned down. I think we need.
Quintillion. There is quintet. What is that? Is that 5 or is that 15? Where is that?
That's after 4.
Mm,
Yeah,
okay.
so it's a lot,
That's a
but
lot. That
it's
is a
kinda where
lot.
we are. I was actually watching this thing this morning because I watch very banal things, and,
Yes.
there's this, construction company that does really good, stone wall work and complete landscaping, like reshaping the entire land, construction company. And I was watching them putting a retaining wall in, this morning, and there was a Karen next door to where they were working.
Hmm.
My God, dude, the entitlement of some people. Leave the workers alone. They're doing their job. They probably know a little bit more about it than you do, Karen.
Couldn't
God,
couldn't be. Couldn't be. She definitely is more well informed and is better than them, and they need to hear about it.
that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
And they did such a good job of staying very tidy and neat on her side of the property, right? But nope, 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 nope. She called the building inspector 6 times.
Jeez.
Poor dude. He had to come out twice, and of course, there's nothing. With the construction guys, he was fine because they were doing. And they're very professional. I've been watching these guys for years. But man, the Karen is an epidemic. That's for damn sure. And it's kind of like we try to put a finger on what is the single causal effect of this libtardness going on in the Western world, and it's probably
Mhm.
impossible to do such a thing. However, Karens might well be the epicenter, though.
Yeah. 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 I think we're in agreement. I think it was unironically, I don't care if it's sexist, repeal the 19th. Get that out of here. That was a terrible plan. In fact, repeal every voting expansion back to basically former slaves are allowed to vote. That's a good place to stop because it's just been a disaster. It's been a disaster.
Hmm.
And there's actually I don't know if this is true, but I've heard people make mentions of this, and some people have broken it down and way depending how you parse the data, of course. But pretty much every Western country, after we gave the fair sex the franchise, uh, within 20 to 30 years, they implemented some form of socialism or some form of socialized system
Oh, sure,
within
of
that
course.
country.
Well, it's what they do. It's their
And that
nature.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I'm not saying they're bad for it, but it makes perfect sense because they want to take care of
Yeah.
themselves and their family and
Hmm.
things. And they think, well, why shouldn't the government be the one to do that?
Yeah.
And
No. No. I understand.
okay,
Yeah, that's true.
sometimes that works, but most often it doesn't.
Yeah, no, no. I'm far more draconian than you. I personally think we should go back to when only the landowner gets a
Oh,
vote,
absolutely.
and
Yeah,
only a single person of the land that is owned gets the vote.
I like it.
Whoever in the family chooses is fine with me. And you're not allowed to become a citizen until you're 30.
I love that. That
Mhm.
right there. That right there would solve
A
so many
lot of
problems
problems. Yes, it
in
would.
the West entirely.
Yep.
Is to raise the franchise to 30 minimum.
Hmm.
That's the bare minimum. You have to be at least 30 years old.
Yep.
And I get it. Oh, you wouldn't have said that when you were in your 20s. First of all, yes, I would.
Yes, I would.
That's-
I was a
Trust
young
me on this.
Republican. Hands up. Yes, I would actually. So no. But I'd even be more draconian than that. I would say 30 years old, married, and must have children. So you'd be out.
Yes. I've heard this one, and I find it's hard to find an argument against it. I would say must have more than double replacement. So you need about 4 kids, or
Hmm.
have some form of professional situation where you control a company, whether you own it or you're a high level manager of it, like a CEO,
Yeah.
with more than 10 employees.
Hmm.
And the reason why, is so you have skin in the game.
Yep.
You see, I don't have any kids, so I'm perfectly fine with me not having the right to vote. I think that's reasonable. I don't have any skin in the game
Hmm.
like a parent does.
That's right. Yeah.
I
No.
think it's fair.
Yeah. I think some people would complain and argue about it, but in all honesty, what is your investment in the future? Because a lot of
Right.
people don't have any investment whatsoever. Matter of fact, their attitude and their the way they go about things is very bleak and unproductive. So, which is their
Nihilistic.
right. It's nihilistic, which is their right to. You're free to do like that. But you
Sure.
certainly you have no opinion worth noting of the future. That's for damn sure.
Right. Right.
So I know a lot of people would think that sounds, like I said, have said 3 times now, draconian. But it's right. I'm right. Just
Yeah.
deal with it.
Just because it's old doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's wrong.
Yep. Yeah. That's true. But anyway, I've got to go over here and I'm going to hit the like button and share. Hopefully, you guys do the same so we can get a bunch of people in here. I noticed because when I come on and set up for my shows is the only time I look at Discord or Twitter. I don't even look at Twitter.
Yeah.
What am I talking about? Discord. You guys were having a little bit of a tiff with the Benjamin there.
Were we?
I guess. I
I think
know
that was a couple days ago, but yeah,
I know he's loving it. You're only
he does.
encouraging him.
He does.
Yes.
See, here's the thing with Ben is I think my boy Ben, oftentimes, maybe he doesn't, but I think he thinks I'm far more invested in our arguments than I am. Because usually I'm doing something else. I just look over. Oh, okay, and I just type something out real quick. Um, I don't think he fully understands that about 90% of the time I'm just fucking with him, just
It's
because it's fun,
probably
and
the same
because
the
you
other
see,
way though.
yeah, and you see, since I got kicked off of basically every kind of social media for that sort of behavior, I just don't have an outlet for that anymore, Chester. So it's nice to have a place where I can just kind of poke a bear for a while.
Oh,
It's
sure.
fun.
And he is a bear. He's very hairy. But yeah, I wouldn't even know if I've been kicked off of Twitter or Facebook. I have no clue.
Mm.
Probably, therefore, probably not. We got Roger in here, the Bad Mike 3, not number 1 or 2, but the third Bad Mike. Okay.
Uh-oh, that's
Uh,
the dangerous one.
he wants, yeah, that is the dangerous one. He says, are foreign Karens as bad as American Karens? Well, we don't really have Karens. That is rather a Western phenomena. Over here, women are too busy being mothers. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
they're actually
Mothers or
busy
high level professionals,
doing something,
they don't have time. Yeah.
right? And
It does seem to me, from this is just, and this might not even be true, it could just be anecdotal, but from my experience, a lot of the Karens, we have this stereotype that it's like a professional career woman, and that's somewhat true, but it's not like a
uh,
high level one. It's
no,
not one who's
yeah.
actually doing hard, long hour work. It's ones who are like middle managers or a little bit lower than that, who think their shit don't stink, but really their job is basically to run like a daycare, an adult daycare. So they
Mhm.
they got this like unearned level of ego and arrogance about them. More often than not, from my experience, you very rarely see it be like a doctor, right? A female doctor that's going off,
No,
or a female, I don't know, CEO or something. It's
well,
not
because they're
usually them.
busy.
Sometimes it is,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
but it's not usually them. It seems like it's like lower on the pay scale type of ladies
Or
that
just
tend to
the
be the ones.
middle or upper middle class
Yeah.
stay at home mom. I think is a lot of
Yep.
it. But we have proverbs. In our in language around the world, whether they have multiple words for it or not. Culturally, we all understand the difference between an idiom, and a proverb, right?
Hmm.
Even though technically they're all kind of the same thing, aren't they? The subtle
Right.
difference is that a proverb is a human truth, right?
Mhm.
And we have and anytime you have something that would be classified as a proverb, every culture on the planet has it because it's a
Yeah.
human truth. And we have one in the West which we express in thusly: idle hands are the playground of the devil.
That's right. That's right.
Yes,
That's right. And it's
yeah,
pretty true.
it is true.
A lot of people, this is something I've learned over the years because I've had depression for big parts of my life for various reasons. One thing I've learned is when I'm not doing anything, if I'm playing a video game for too long, or if I'm just watching a show too much, or just sitting around with my thumb up my butt, it gets worse. It gets a lot worse. I start to get that
Yep.
feeling, right? That little tingling in the back of my brain that
Hmm.
triggers that depression. So what I've learned is find something else to do. Just anything, something productive, and do it. Go clean your house. Go do your dishes. Go
Yeah.
make dinner. Go for a walk. Go
Hmm.
take your wife to a movie like I did today. Do
Yeah.
anything like that. Just do it.
Hmm.
You don't have to necessarily plan it or anything. You just get up and do it. For men, one of the best things you can do when you're feeling down is work out. Just go work out. You
Sure.
don't have to necessarily go to a gym, but if you got one nearby, go to it. If it's nice outside, just go outside and go for a half hour, 45-minute walk.
Hmm.
Just go do something to get your heart going and get
Hmm.
your mind, stop your mind from thinking about negativity. Think about a simple task and complete it. And it's much harder for you to stay in that state where you're, where you're miserable. It's a lot harder to stay that way because you're busy. You're just too busy for it.
Yep. No, I don't know what.
Just
I
a
have no
suggestion.
clue what you're talking about, but yes. Yeah. Well,
Yes,
I've
Chester. I
never
know
had
you've never been
depression.
depressed
I've
in your life.
never. No, I haven't. I don't understand the concept. Maybe it falls into that thing. What is it you call me again? A sociopath.
That's correct. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. See,
okay.
I'm the opposite. I know people think that I'm like some kind of crazed madman or whatever. It's actually not true. I am an incredibly empathic person, and that's why I hate you motherfuckers. Because all of you are feeling way too damn much and you ain't thinking enough.
Uh-huh.
Stop
Uh-huh.
it.
Uh-huh.
Stop feeling everything. Go think. Go be more like Chester. Don't be totally like Chester, but be
Yes.
more like
Be
Chester.
be more like
Go
Chester.
think.
That's the wisest words I've ever heard you say. Uh, we also have Flying Saucer here, of course. We have Dave. We got Curious 2A. Thank you guys for coming in. Karen's in HR. Well, a lot of companies are
Hmm.
constantly trying to find ways to save money. I can give them advice instantly. Get rid of HR. What do you need it for?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
a
I
boss's
agree.
job is. What the hell? It's your
That's
job,
why, because the
boss.
bosses don't want to do that. They don't want to. They don't want to deal with the people.
Well, I'm just
No,
saying,
no,
but
no,
that's a
no.
part of a job, their job description of a
Yes,
boss, right? A leader, a
yes.
team leader. So I don't, get rid of your HR because they're nothing but trouble. Their whole job is literally sitting there bitching and,
Yeah,
and
or
have,
collect the bitching of other
or
people. Like
right.
it's all about
And
bitching.
that is toxic and unhealthy. Whereas a boss has
Yes,
many things to do,
correct.
including having to deal with the human resources of their position, right?
Yep.
Therefore, it balances them out, right? And they have
I
more
even don't like
practical
that
opinions.
name, man. I mean, that name's kind of that's kind of dehumanizing. Human resources, like you're like I don't know. I don't like
Yeah.
the
Well,
sound of that. I don't. It always kind of fits wrong with me. Like you're
Freudian
calling me.
slip, perhaps?
Yeah, it's like you're calling me a chair. Like, hey, wait
Mhm.
a minute. I'm not just a resource. Wait a minute. It just there's a lot of that in corporate speak, and I understand why. It's not anything personal. It's just that's how corporations are supposed to think, very pragmatically, and everything's an object, and they have to move things around on the chessboard or
Mhm.
whatever. I get that, but this department is supposed to be allegedly created so that the worker has a place to go, for resources and things, and for their insurance or whatever,
Sure.
and they have complaints or whatever. But the reality is, most of those departments, their job is daycare. Their job is to make sure the worker doesn't have a serious claim against the company, for one, and for
Mhm.
two, to make sure everybody's behaving like good little kids. Make sure everybody's doing their work. Gotta make sure
Well,
it's.
It's
No.
interesting you mentioned that because what's been making the rounds this week I noticed, and because I watched the Lotus Eaters, which is Sargon of Akkad's kind of new
Hmm.
thing he's been doing for a while, and I find it quite interesting. But they because it's been going around, a lot of people have been covering. Even It's a Gundam covered it. Whereas
Hmm.
this young girl, which nothing against the girl at all, it was completely innocent what she did, but she works for LinkedIn, and she just put together a little vlog of her life and going into the office and all the stuff that she did in her day. And then she also went and visited Google and made a friend, and she showed Google's offices and what their day is like. So from her point of view, there is no complaint against the girl, right? But what it showed was that in that Silicon Valley corporate world, of course, it's not the actual workers like the coders, but these kind of HR and marketing and those kinds of which are usually girls, they do nothing. They are
Yep.
incredibly pampered. I mean, radically pampered, dude.
Yep.
And it's like, well, it just shows you these companies have so much money. They're just trying to find ways to throw money around to deal with
That's right.
taxation, dude. And so a lot of
Yep.
these kids, which are, in this case is mainly girls, their jobs are just simply there for tax purposes, and
Right.
it's like a kindergarten, and they get
It
paid
also gives them
60
a
grand a year
screen.
for it.
Yep. It gives them a screen for lawsuits. Like Dave said, it helps them push lawsuits away. So like if a labor
Yeah,
department wants to come at them for something, then one, they have people who are easy to fire because they don't really do anything.
that's true.
And two, they also have ways of pushing off any complaints and things down the ladder, and it eventually lands in these people's laps. So the people with those really cushy jobs like that, where they don't actually really do anything, uh, you're very expendable, and
Oh yeah.
that's why you exist, because you're expendable. Because they know they can't get rid of the engineers, really. I mean, they can, but there's engineers they can get rid of, and there's engineers they know they can't lose.
Right.
Every company knows that, and especially in tech, every business is kind of that way. Like you'll have a if you have enough employees, you're going to have a couple employees who are pivotal. You need these people, if and most likely losing them is going to cost you a lot of money.
Hmm.
So you got to keep them as happy as possible.
Uh-oh.
The other people are expendable, and then the below them would be the people like you're talking about. They're not only they're so expendable that if there's even a blip in the stock price, they're probably gone. Just see
Yeah,
ya.
it's
Bye.
also a very
Bye bye.
vapid life. There's nothing, there's no
Yes.
accomplishment coming out of it. However, by listening to what you're saying, I had a horrible realization. I'm the most
Uh
fireable person at my business.
oh. But you're the owner, so
I know.
that's the trick.
Goodness
You make
gracious.
yourself the expendable one
I do.
if you own or operate a business. That way you don't have to always freaking be there because other people can do the job.
Well, my responsibilities, my involvement in the business has become less and less for sure. But
That's good.
yeah, well, it is what it is. But the ladies are more than capable of handling it. So,
That's good.
and of course, my eagle-eyed wife is, hawking over the top of them all anyway.
That's good.
Yeah.
The matriarchal. I like that.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. But
Yep.
I mean, honestly, you see, if well, watching, women, I actually rather like this women, right? I
Yeah.
know it's a thing in the West, kind of this MGTOW and stuff to hate on the women's, but I rather like women. I like the
Yep.
sound of like a gaggle of ladies, and I like the sound of chirping children. I do like this sound. I know it irritates
Mhm.
people some, but not me. But the difference is that if you watch a group of ladies and they're kind of doing their little thing, and they're yakking and gossiping, talking, but they're getting stuff done as time goes on, right? They are getting it
Right.
done. Sure, they're not as efficient as men would be. They're certainly nowhere near as fast as we would be, but they do get it done, and they'll get it done within the time frame you give them, right?
Sure.
But it's a very pleasant thing to observe. The problem is in the West, they've kind of lost that, because you know how we make the joke all the time when women hate each other. That's really a Western thing. Outside of that,
Mm.
women aren't like that. Are they competitive against each other for male selection? Oh, of course. But when it comes to societally interacting, whether it be community based or business based or whatever, they function like normal humans. But in the West, they're so catty,
Mm,
and it is different. It is different because I've seen both sides of it, right? And here
right.
you'll see a group of ladies, they'll get it done, and it's all friendly and polite and nice, and and it works just fine. Like I said, if you want something done very quickly and very efficiently, well, put men on it. I mean, and I know people go, so that's sexist, Chester. No, it's reality. It's just reality.
Well, our reality is very sexist. I mean, if just observationally, the fact that there are two sexes, the fact that we are a dimorphically sexual species,
Hmm.
uh, that means it's already a baseline level of sexism just right there.
Yeah,
Just right
sure.
there. That's all. That's enough.
And my point being is they'll get it done. They'll get it done. And but it's usually very pleasant. But
Mm,
in the West, it's changed. And I know there's some situations that are pleasant, but ladies have become way too competitive and way too masculine in the West, and it doesn't jibe with their brain because their brain is chemically different. They're not actually men, and that's the thing. Like we're going to talk a little bit about Ellen Page today, and it is I don't necessarily have anything against the young lady at all herself, but it's like she's a good example of well, I'm going to be a man now, and it's like okay, what do you know about being a man? Where's your
you see,
knowledge base? How are you going to be a man? Because you might want to cosplay as a man, but you're not a man. You don't understand the male brain, and in fact, your brain and our brain is quite different. We're not talking just physiologically; we're talking chemically and mentally. We don't have the same brains. We are different. You know nothing about a man, and being a man. As a matter of fact, I can flip it. All these dudes that want to be a lady, you don't know shit about being a woman.
that's right.
You don't know anything about
I
it.
just,
So
I
it's
just
like,
don't
what are you doing?
understand how it's wrong, how it's considered deeply offensive by today's standards to for a white person to dress up in blackface and things.
Hmm. Hmm.
Most people agree, okay, don't do that. Fine, whatever. We can argue about whether that's accurate or not. But how is that that isn't okay. But a man, an obvious man with all of the characteristics traditionally
And the
of what we
brain of a
consider
man.
a man,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we're right, can doll themselves up in traditional female attire, put on female makeup, and wear female shoes and female underwear and things, and carry a handbag like a woman, and walk and try and talk like a woman, and that somehow isn't offensive to women.
Hmm. Yeah. No.
I
Of
need
course it
America
is.
to explain.
And they call them turfs now, though. Yeah. And I will speak for Ben because he's not here, so I will speak for him. But Chester, dysmorphia. Well, yeah, okay. 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%. Probably need another 1% in there of the population might have some miswiring that lets their brain lean toward the other gender, but it's still chemically not that. So go away, Ben. I got him. No,
Got him.
I got him.
Got him.
Got
Sorry, I
him.
have to sign some paperwork because we had put down an offer on a house. And all looked good, and then we got it inspected, and the inspection didn't go well, so we have to
Oh,
terminate our offer.
oh, that's a shame.
Unfortunately, yeah. Anyway, it's real easy to do nowadays, though. You just do it on the computer, you press some buttons, and you're done.
Okay, Roger says that it's called putting on a strap on, Chester. That's how a woman can be a man. Uh,
Well, you
I,
see, Chester, in communism, we're all interchangeable parts.
Does he mean to like tie a? What does he mean?
Okay, so there is a sexual toy
Hmm.
called a strap-on, and what it is it's literally like a little belt you put on that has
Oh,
a
you mean
dildo attached to it.
those dildo belt things? Yeah, I've seen them in the
Yeah,
strip clubs.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're called strap-ons.
Oh,
Yeah,
are they?
yeah.
I thought they
I
were
don't know
just
why.
like I thought dildo was in the name.
No, I mean you probably could. Probably is some kind that is,
Hmm.
but
Well,
yeah, most
okay.
people just
All
call
right.
them
Sorry.
strap-ons.
Sorry. I've seen those before in the strip clubs, though. No, I have. They have oil wrestling with them.
Yeah,
Yes. It's rather dangerous, if you ask me. But whatever, those girls are professional and they're well lubed. Okay. Dave says, has Chester spoken about the assassination of Shinzo Abe? I shall momentarily, sir. We're just doing our
Yep.
initial chit chat that we always do. Waiting for Ben to come in and chastise us is really what we're doing. Yes, that's our thing because we do love our liberal mindset. But but anyway, but it is all kind of silly. It is silly. See, me personally, because it's becoming quite a noisy thing in the West right now. Um, if you want to dress up or act like, or even, surgically alter yourself, well, that's your business. I mean, okay, you probably shouldn't, but okay, that's your choice to do. But let's not. We're not going to play this universal delusion with you, buddy. You're
Yeah.
still a dude or you're still a girl. You are. There's no need for a conversation about it, really, because I don't need to talk to you in any way. Actually, you go about your business and I'll go about mine. I'm not going to cause you any harm, nor should I think anyone to cause you harm. I agree with that. But, that's the end of the conversation, buddy. You can act and cosplay any way you'd like, but I don't want to hear it. And this whole dysmorphic thing is being abused, is what it is. But
Hmm.
even that doesn't even matter. So all that means is that your brain is screwed up. It is wrongly wired, and you have a mental condition. That's what that means. By your very own words, you are saying that you have a mental problem. Okay, what's the best way to deal with it? I don't think the way it's being dealt with is the best way because we have, what is it, 47% suicide rate against amongst transgenders, whether they get the
Yeah.
surgeries or not. So
Yeah.
clearly you
And I
have
think,
some huge problem going on, dude. Hey, that's you. I mean, I think it's sad when people die and stuff. I certainly have compassion, but man, people die every day, dude. Every
yeah,
every
you
breath
can't.
you take, someone's dying. So
The
I'm
truth
not,
of the matter
you know,
is, life is not the most precious thing about life. It's precious, it's sacred, it needs to be protected at nearly all costs, but some costs are too high. And we used to understand this in America,
mm,
especially how we conquered this continent. Um, but the truth of the matter is, as precious as life is, it's not the most precious thing. I would say the truth, virtue, dignity, those things are more precious. People literally lay down their lives for the things you love, your
yeah.
family, most likely, especially if you're a parent, children. Those things are going to be more precious to you than your own life.
Well,
My wife,
children
I in a
are
heartbeat.
simply because they are
Yeah,
literally our future, and it doesn't
that's
matter
right.
that Michael said it. We get it. Wink, wink. But they are. It's just the truth. They are the future. Because,
Mm,
as you get older, as I have, you start to understand the totality of life. And it comes
mm,
down to life is very short. You hear this expression all the time, but it's very true. But more importantly, life is segmented, right? You have basically from around, say, 18, 20 years old, if you're ambitious, maybe even a little younger, but around that 20 years old, you have yourself about 30 years to establish yourself. That's what you got. And then after that,
right.
you're kind of just finishing out and then retiring and yada, yada, yada. You have 30 years of life. That's really what life comes down to, 30 years. 30 years of productive activity is what you have. And in that time, you need to make a decision on what kind of financial life do you want to live, right? And are
Hmm.
you going to make family and stuff like that? Some people can, some people can't, some people don't want to. It's fine. But whatever you choose, it's happening in a 30-year period. So when people say life is short, it's shorter than you think, dude.
Yeah.
And if you're wasting your time, if you 30s or 40s before you decide to, like a lot of these young women, oh, I'm going to get married now. Well, you've fucking blown half or more of your productive life. You've blown it away. When it would have been much smarter for you if you want kids and stuff, got married when you're like 20 something, early 20s, have your kids, raise your kids, and then, be productive during that time. And then you'll have the soft end of it, the back end of it, which is really just kind of coasting on what you've built, will be longer and more productive, right?
Right.
That's logical. But of course, we don't have logic in these modern Western days whatsoever. But it's something to think about because I've done my predictive time, and I'm done with it. And now I'm coming into just kind of wrapping everything up and getting everything tied up. And my wife and I will, go off and take a trip once or twice a year and do our little thing and just kind of enjoy ourselves into our twilight, right? That's how life works, right? If you're lucky. A lot of people seem to not understand that, and they throw it away. And this whole thing of this fad that flying saucers say, because it is a fad, but it's a rather dangerous one. I'd much rather us go back to tie dyes or the lucky rabbit's foot. Better fad, in my opinion.
Mm,
Right? It's just unproductive and self-destructive is what we're seeing going
right.
on.
Yeah. No, I agree. Um, I think there's I can't remember who said it, but there's like an old quote or old canard that says, most men don't typically become men until they're in their 40s, and what that means is, it doesn't mean obviously you can be very manly and hardworking and all these things, but you
Sure.
don't become really truly productive and get to see the fruits of that until right about that time.
Yep.
Because most likely that's about your tipping point where you're going to be still physically quite capable,
Hmm.
and mentally you're probably about where you're going to be intellectually, and then it's going to turn down. Now you might learn, you're obviously still going to learn more, you
Sure.
might even become more wise as you get older. Many people do,
Yeah.
but that's about your what's the word, climax. That's your
Yeah.
zenith. That's probably most likely where you're going to peak at, or if you're unlucky you peaked way before unless you made a lot of money doing so, or maybe you will a little later if you're a late bloomer or whatever. But regardless, for your average man, I think 40 is when the grades come in, when the great report card comes in.
Yep.
And
Oh, no, that
most men don't really make serious money until they're in their 40s.
that's right. And you should be
um
banging in your 40s. That's true. That's true.
yep,
And in all honesty, you don't even become technically an adult man until you're 30, really.
I'd say so.
Yeah. But that's true. 40s is a very important decade. It is. It was for me, for damn sure.
Yep.
And the hard work is paying off. And now I'm getting to the point I'm starting to wind things down, and I'll actually start to. I'm terrified, but I'll start working less. I don't know.
Uh-oh.
I don't trust me.
What is Chester gonna do
I don't.
without
I
working?
don't. I don't trust me at all. And neither does my wife. She laughed at me. She
Oh
laughed,
no.
saying, "I'm going to be taking more time. I'm going to be doing less work." And she literally laughed at me. Damn.
I
She
find that
knows me
funny.
though. She knows me. But one thing I always did, because I do work a lot and always have since I was young. I mean, my first business I was 12, right? But
Hmm.
I'm just that type, and that's fine. You don't have to be like me, and there's maybe better ways than me. But whatever, I am what I am. And but One of the things I always made sure though was that I come home every night. I come home every night. I see the family. I don't necessarily eat dinner with them every night, but at least many times a week I'll have dinner with the family, at least 3 or 4 times a week. But I see my kids and my wife every night. I see them. I made a
That's
very,
good.
very deliberate point of that because trust me, I could have been gone for a week or two doing shit if I let myself, but I refuse.
That's good. You only
Uh,
get one shot at it.
No, no, it's true. Yeah, and it's a lot of work because that's work too. But my point being is that you're right. Children are important because everything we're preparing and setting up is for them to take over and continue this process called civilization, right? But anyway, let's go
Right.
ahead and get into it because we do have some interesting things to talk about, some fun things. Today's going to be a little bit more lighthearted, and that's good. So let's get into it here. Although the first story is, my God, people.
People, what are we doing, people? Come on. Yeah. Metal Gear Solid and Death Stranding creator Hideo Kojima falsely identified as Shinzo Abe assassin by Greek media and a French politician. I
Okay,
yeah, just
okay. Uh,
Europe, what are you doing, Europe? Get your
uh,
shit together.
and the thing, I'm going to show you the pictures here in a second and stuff, but the thing is, Hide and I think his name was Toshimitsu. Let me check his name real quick. The assassin. What's his name off again? I think they had it in here. Da, da, da. They probably do, but whatever. The assassin. Let's just call him the assassin. They don't look anything alike at all. At
No.
all. I understand that all Asians look the same to you, and to be fair, all Caucasians look the same to them, as well as black and stuff like that. It's just that's just living inside a culture or tribe, right? But
Yeah.
take my word on it, they don't look anything alike at all. Now, I like a lot of things Kojima does. I know there's controversy around him, fair enough, but I think it's fine. He's a creative guy. He's sometimes he hits the mark, sometimes he doesn't. But overall, he's creative and he's hardworking, clearly, and he's put out a lot of things that have stood the test of time, dude.
Hmm.
With that aside, overall, I think Kojima is been successful. And he is a bit of an idiot, though, when it comes to things, and I'll show you that in a minute. But, you know, we see a lot of false accusations these days. A lot. I mean, understand, this is a bit of a different subject, but, understand that at minimum, 95% of all rape allocations cannot be prosecuted.
Right.
95%. That is an insane number. That's a lot of women throwing out accusations for various stupid reasons, or situations that really weren't rape, or situations that just simply can't be proven. Fair enough for those that are in that category. That's sad. But 95% is a gigantic number, dude. That's a gigantic number. And the simple thing
Hmm.
of the matter is the Western women, because you would never see that happen over here. You would never see that happen. But Western women seem fine throwing the accusation of rape at a man and not caring how much that literally obliterates his life. Not caring one bit. And over here, I've
No.
seen some of and the reason I mention that, because I'm going to make the association here in a second. But I've sat down and had conversations with Western women here in Japan, and they complain that rape doesn't get reported as much here in Japan. Well, rape gets reported when it happens. There's a difference between that and waking up the next morning and you had a couple, both of you had a little bit too much to drink and you regret. Regret is not rape, right? But also over
Mm.
here in Japan and Asia in general, women are very, very cautious about throwing that accusation at a man, because it will destroy him. Because women here, either whether they be mothers or potential mothers, they understand the idea that, hey, I might have a son. And you know what? I like my son. I want him to be prosperous and happy because I love my boy. They don't think violent, hateful things. Who gives a shit what happens? It's just a man. And that we see
Right.
happen in the West a lot. The reason I make the association is this: you do not accuse someone of rape when they have not raped you. You do not accuse someone of assassinating the leader of a freaking country without absolute proof.
Right.
Am I wrong?
No. Or at least more than just a slight, faint ethnic resemblance. You
No,
gotta have a little more
I mean,
than just he maybe looks like him if you get the angle just right.
no, it's absolutely insane. Yes, he has glasses, different glasses, but he wears glasses. So are all men with glasses now guilty of killing
Lots of men in
Shinzo
Asia wear
Abe?
glasses.
But
Hmm.
let me come down here and show you something here real quick. Now, this here it is. This French politician, Damien Rieu, put this Twitter up, and I think this is where the Greek news people got it, and they just ran with it without checking, which is stupid. But if you take a look here, so what is Kojima doing here in these pictures? All right, and of course, he's not the dude. So first of all, you could have taken 1 second to find out the name of the guy, because it came out pretty quick. Right, but whatever. Now, what is he doing here? This, what do they call these Russian hats here? I never remember the name of this stupid hat. But this is probably, I'm guessing, coming from some video game he was involved with. I'm I'm
Mm,
betting ya. That's why he's wearing it for a photo, or he just thought it was goofy. Now, him sitting there next to the picture of Che Guevara and having the Che Guevara bag. Now, does Hide know anything about Che Guevara? Does he is he politically motivated toward Che Guevara? No. Japanese have no freaking clue. They will. I mean, he might not even know who that dude on his shirt is, right? They just
mm,
wear stuff and they carry stuff. They don't have it. I see the dumbest shit here in Japan all the time. They're completely unaware because all they care about is the imagery, not the content. That's Japan in a
mm.
nutshell. Now, let's say he is a born liberal, and he probably is, and he's into that whole, Che Guevara on the shirt. Well, they're just a bunch of idiots because they think Che Guevara represents the liberal spirit, the revolutionary. He's not. He was literally a serial killing rapist that was useful to Fidel Castro until he wasn't,
Right.
right? He's not a good guy. He's not a champion of freedom. He's a literal serial killing rapist. He's a very bad dude. And if you took half a second, even on the dumbass Wikipedia, you would know this. But they don't know this because it's a fashion item. It's a symbol of something. It could be fucking Mickey Mouse for all they know, right? But so okay, I get it from someone who's informed, and you would assume that Mr. Ryu, whatever the fuck your name is, Damien, um, that he's a little bit more informed as to who Che Guevara really was. But even with all of the libtardedness of Kojima, is that worthy enough to accuse him of assassinating a leader of a world leader? Fucking
Yeah.
A, dude. I don't
Yeah. No, it's ridiculousness. I'm assuming I have absolutely no idea. I don't know who this dude is. Never heard of him. I'm assuming he was memeing and just doing it tongue in cheek, but I don't know that for certain. But no, it's just it's kind of fucked up. It really pissed Kojima off too. Actually, like he had his team put out an actual statement threatening to sue people if they continue to do that.
know.
Because it's just one of those things, especially in Japan of all places, that doesn't happen. I mean, it has happened before where political leaders have been assassinated, but it's not super common for them to be confronted with that level of violence. There was just literally just a week or a few days before Abe was doing another stop. There's a channel I watch who covers sumo, and he just happened to be around there during one of their campaign things, so he filmed it. And Abe went down into the people. He had a security detail and stuff, but he went down into the people, talked to them, shook their hands, everything, took pictures with them, just
Yeah,
did basic politician stuff. But he was completely surrounded by other Japanese folk. There was
sure.
very little the security could have even done if somebody, like say somebody had a knife, they'd have got him. There'd been no stopping him.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah. But
was
it just doesn't happen
swarmed
here anymore, dude. I
because
mean,
exactly, it's just not something that he would have ever, or most anybody would have ever expected. Would have been
no,
violence
it's very
against a
odd.
politician at his level.
We haven't seen that here since the 30s. I mean, there was a
Yeah,
lot of that in the 30s, but it just hasn't. Well, I guess there was some stuff in the 60s and there occasionally, but in
yeah,
general, no. And they don't have the kind of motorcades and the type of stuff the West has. They don't have that, and I actually like that. My wife actually did. In the exact scenario you just put out, she met and shook hands with Shinzo Abe years and years
yeah.
ago. Exactly like that. We were just on a trip. We were on Honshu, and we were looking at this kind of nice city, and he was just walking around glad handing people, and she went over
Yeah.
to shake his hand. So I mean, it's pretty normal here, and it's certainly shocking to the Japanese. We don't see this kind of thing. I've been in Japan and visiting here nearly 30 years, right? And in
Hmm.
that time, I have seen three shootings with guns. Three.
Wow.
And two of them, this is the third one, of course, two of them were Yakuza shooting each other. And who really cares about mafiosos killing each other? Nobody, right?
Mhm.
But that's it. That's it. So this is the first time I've seen someone shot with a gun that was outside of kind of criminal activity. There's been some knife problems I've seen from time to time. Once again, it's very rare, but it's shocked the Japanese, of course. They'll be talking about this for quite a while. They're very I'd say the temper of the country is rather dour right now. Well, I don't know if dour is the word. Sad, I guess, maybe better. But it's not outrage. It's not anger or noise. It's more about remembrance and mourning. And yeah, and I'm sure this week will be full of Japanese having conversations with me about it. Because you got to keep in mind, Abe was not the most liked politician in Japan, right?
Mm.
By very few. But that doesn't mean anything. It's the same thing with Biden. He's an absolute moron, but I would
Yeah.
not want to see him harmed. You know,
Well, you're not in his family apparently because holy crap. Um,
that's true.
but no, yeah, wasn't he like the longest or one of the longest serving prime ministers too? Like he was prime
Since
minister for a
the
while.
since the switch over after the war, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. I couldn't believe it when I heard it. Then I saw the videos of it, and since it is Sunday, I'm gonna put on the tinfoil hat, and then
Hmm.
maybe a new video has come out that shows it better.
Hmm.
But all the videos I saw, oddly, right when the shot happened, the camera turned away because
Yeah.
there was two shots. There was one that missed, or I don't know what happened, didn't seem to hit anybody, and then there was a second one that hit him and like another person, I think, two other people,
Well,
whatever it was.
that's because you don't understand how flighty the Japanese are.
Well, but my point is every single camera, as soon as that first shot went off, even ones that were like seemed like hard cameras focused on him, turned away right at that moment.
Well, they
And
might have
it
done
was
it
just it just
intentionally.
strikes me as odd.
They might have done it
Strikes me as
intentionally.
odd because it's almost how could they have possibly known what was because nobody else knew. His security detail didn't even know, right? The guy just walked up behind him and bang bang.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand the conspiracy idea, and well, who
very
knows, right?
strange to me.
But do
Yeah.
keep in mind here in Japan, anytime, even if they're bringing a body out in a body bag, it's in the body bag. There's nothing you can
Hmm.
see. They will still have a bunch of police carrying blue sheets on all four corners of it, walking it out.
Wow.
They will not show those kind of things on TV. But yeah, I felt the same thing when I saw it as well. But what I don't know what the purpose would be though, because he's not the actual prime minister. Matter of fact,
Mm-mm.
we've had two prime ministers since he's been out, right?
Right.
I suppose he has about the authority of a Clinton or a Bush or an Obama as far as going around and chatting up and trying to get people elected, which is what he was doing. But he's
Playing
not in.
kingmaker.
Well, yeah, yeah, kingmaker, but he's not in power. So what
Right.
would be the purpose of it? I don't know.
I don't know. Did I mean, you're over there. I don't know. I haven't kept up with it totally. Have they found a motive? Have they stated what the guy's
Oh yeah,
motive
no, I
was?
was going to get into that. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Let me come back up here now and look at the situation with Abe. I'm sure they have they must have a picture of Abe, don't they? No, no picture, just this kind of thing here in the distance. All right, well, there's Abe right there,
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
the
That's
video right
Abe.
there,
Okay.
actually.
There are many. We've seen many, many things. But here's the deal with Abe. Like I said, he wasn't a very beloved leader from all his various things because he took orders directly from Washington. It's quite clear, which isn't strange here.
Mm,
But the people are getting a little sick of it, I think. But so aside from
good.
those kind of things, yeah, I agree. Um, his wife is a problem. And
Mm,
ultimately he stopped being prime minister. He said it was for health reasons. Bullshit. It was because of his wife kept causing problems. His wife is one of those nutters that's into the all the kind of new wave, new religion crap. She's always involved in those kind of just goofy nutsoid shit, right? And she
yep.
caused so much trouble for this dude. And he's just saying, okay, dear, and just letting her do it instead of telling her no, right? So she caused a lot of trouble. And one of the things she really likes is she likes being a member of cults. You see,
Boy.
here in Asia, we have a cult problem more than other places in the world. Now, I understand that some of you, like Elrod, I know he's very judgmental. He would, probably accuse the Muslims or the Jews or the Christians as being cultists as well. And not that I would disagree, Elrod. However, that we do have cult problems here in Asia. Japan is not lacking in them. I mean, there's certain cities in Japan you can walk down the street and there's literally dozens of them advertising with their little headquarter shops on them, right?
Mm,
So and she likes the culty thing. She's a weirdo. She's a goofball weirdo, right? And well, one of those cults that his wife is associated with, and therefore he's associated with as well, because I've never got the feel out of him he's anything like it. I feel like it's a dude that's like, okay, dear, go ahead, dear, as you like, dear. That's what I
right.
feel out of Abe. She's the nutball. But one of those cults that she is part of caused some great harm to this young man's family.
Mm,
Legitimately. Bullshit. Right? And he's pissed off and he's been trying to hunt down and kill Abe for quite a while and he finally got his opportunity. I think it probably would have been more because what happened to his family, I don't have all the details yet, but it sounds pretty bad, dude. Right? So these cults do some awful shit. They do. Right?
right.
But it sounds to me more like it would have been better to shoot the wife, really. But you know how it is. So I'm not justifying it at all because it's unjustifiable. But the dude had more reason than most shooters have.
Mm, personal,
It's very
not
personal. Yeah.
ideological.
And not ideological at all. No, he doesn't care.
So
He
what you're
even said
telling
he's
me,
nothing against his politics whatsoever. Yeah.
what you're telling me is, as often happens, is a I use the term because he was the highest level politician in the country.
Mm.
A great man was brought down by the antics of his woman.
Oh yeah. Well, he lost his job because of her. I mean, God, she did so many stupid things, dude. I mean, and fraud too, straight up fraud. And the whole time, it kept happening, little thing, little things, little things. Then a boom, a big thing with a pretty big fraud of money being moved around. Did Abe or his wife get arrested? No, but the other people on the other side of it got arrested, which fair enough, they should be. But his wife should have been held accountable, but him too, because it's clear. I've been watching this for years and years, dude. Right? Abe is the type of dude that he's got a goofy wife and he just says, yes, dear.
Yeah,
And you can blame him for that. You should. I do.
I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
We
that's
call
what it
that, Chester.
is.
We call that being a cuck.
Yes. Yes, is it?
Yep.
Well, he's a rich boy. I mean, he's a little rich boy that was basically, shuffled and paraded into politics. That's what he is. He's not real
Yeah.
human, right? Uh,
Well, not anymore.
well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's I mean, because politicians eventually all get corrupted one way or the other. But you have people who get into politics for legitimate reasons. It
Sure.
just eats their soul, right? The system. But he's not that. He was literally just kind of labeled. Oh, you're a little rich boy. You're going to be a politician, and that's that, right?
That's what he
And
was.
this is one of the big problems most Japanese had with him, right? Because he's
Mm,
a little prince. Yeah.
sure.
But yeah, his wife has been a major issue for him for a very long time, and because I really don't feel from all of the scandals that have happened, because he's got a lot of them, all of the scandals and all the reporting and all that stuff I've listened over the years, it always comes back to his wife, and I think this comes back to his wife too, because is he an actual cultist? He's certainly been to Bohemian Groves on several occasions, so he likes him some sex with the younger folks. But other than that, I don't know if he's much of a cultist at all. His wife is, though, right? I'll give you an
Interesting.
example of how stupid and vapid they can get over here, though. It comes back to the same thing where I was talking about the Che Guevara, shirt he's wearing, right? For Kojima. Does he even know who Che Guevara is? I would argue probably not, right?
Hmm.
Because like I I have a production company, right? Well, I've sold it, but I had a production company. And way back when I was just kind of starting it out, mainly I was doing it just so I could have I would rent live houses and do shows, right? But I tried to expand it and make a business out of it. So in the beginning, I was doing it all myself, right? And
Mhm.
I had this lady, and she said she was going to have her an event, and she needed a PA system, brought in a stage setup for music and people to speak and for bands and stuff. And I have a complete, I can build an entire stage, right? And so I was
Mm.
like, okay, and gave her a quote. My wife took care of all the various money things. And I went over there early in the morning and set up, and it was this kind of big courtyard between a bunch of strip malls squared around it. It was that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And there was it was only three buildings. The other side was a river. It was quite nice, actually, nice little place. So I built my stage. I had a couple of dudes come with me, and I built the stage out, and I set everything up. Set up all the speakers and amps and monitors, and I did the whole thing, right? I get it all set up,
Right.
and I'm all ready. And I'm of course I'm a type of I'm a done an hour and a half, 2 hours before I need to be, right? And just sitting there, she shows up, and I had never met her before, right? She's kitted out 100% hippie. I mean, I'm talking 1960s hippie, right? Just kitted out, smelling of patchouli. Is that what you call that? That stinky shit hippies wear.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Anyway,
know, I'm not
just
a hippie.
kid it out, dude. Just kid it out. And I'm like, oh, okie dokie. And then of course people started showing up, and they did their little setup, and then the actual guests show up. And you had several hundred hippies, Japanese hippies, out there. And I run the whole thing, do my job, and I get paid. But it made me laugh because they're sitting here and they're doing like little drum circle stuffs, and I got wireless and wired mics running at different places for them, right? And they're doing all these drum circles, and they're doing little djembe, drums, and they're doing their little dancing, and they don't understand that these drum circles and dancing are coming from 2 points of view, right? If you look in the Middle East, like Zoroastrianism is a good start for that conversation. They believe that if you dance and spin around and to the rhythm drum in long enough, that you will find seconds here or there of euphoria and therefore connection to God, right?
Mm.
But the hippies in America, well, they just high off their frickin' ass, spinning around hallucinating, right? So it's either
Yeah.
takes hours of work from a religious point of view, or it's just a bunch of hippies, tripping on acid,
Right.
right? None of that's going on here. They're just dancing around to the thing. They're copying a thing that they don't understand what they're doing. It's like the hip hop kids over here. Some of them are pretty good hip hop dancers or b-boy type stuff like that. They're pretty good, but they don't understand that it's a culture you're emulating, not music. And of course, most music is cultural, but you see that all the time in Japan. It's this fake copy thing. And there was a movie put out by I think it's Scorsese. I think it was Scorsese. I think it's called Priest or something like that, and it's got Adam Driver in it, and it's over here in Japan with the priest, running into trouble with the Tokugawa government, right? So it's
Mhm.
set like 400 years ago. But go watch that movie, because the end, it's actually, it didn't do very well, but I think people don't get it, because it's actually incredibly insightful. The Japanese are a mire. They don't have any ethos. They have no conviction. All they
Mm.
do is copy things. They don't embody the thing, right? Yeah, Sufi dances. That's right, Alan, and others. They don't embody it whatsoever. So a lot of these kind of cults we see over here are very, very similar. The main goal behind the creators of the cult is, do I need to tell you? You tell us, Thundera. What is it they're really after, you think?
Colts in Japan or just Colts in general?
Well, just the vapidness of Japan leans toward even more. Yeah,
Uh, hmm.
it starts with an M and ends with an E.
Mo- Do you mean money?
Money.
That ends with a Y, Justin. That ends with a Y.
I was doing sound.
Well, because most of the cults over here, the leaders are looking for pussy, not money, pussy. It
Yeah,
seems
which
like.
is weird. I mean, it's not hard to find it these days. You can get pussy pretty easy, actually. Uh,
Yeah.
so whatever. But no, it's all about money, and
Yep.
because it's so vapid. But when you take the faithful out of a religion, well, then it can become very ugly and extremely
Mm.
dangerous, and bad things happen. Bad things do happen, right? I could go on and on and on about it, but I think I laid the picture out fair? I
I
think I
think
have.
so. Yes.
So you know, um, this dude, this dude here, the answer is not murder, brother. It
No.
certainly isn't. But oddly enough, I kind of get his reasoning.
Yeah. A little bit. A little bit. It's just unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate that the whole situation led this guy to this,
It is.
and unfortunately, old Shinzo, he got.
He
Uh,
did. It is unfortunate, and I hope the Japanese legislator doesn't overreact because a lot of times they do. I mean, we don't need new laws. This guy broke a bunch of them.
yeah, well, that and like, what are you gonna do? He made a homemade shotgun
Yeah,
using parts stuff you can buy at any hardware store. It looks like I didn't see
sure.
anything about that thing that was extra special or
Well,
whatever.
any of us could build a
And
gun or a bomb.
yeah,
It's not hard.
I could build that for 400 bucks,
Sure.
easy. It's a two shot little spreaded with some buckshot or whatever. I mean, you probably use buck. You might
I
have used
think he
slug,
used
whatever.
slugs actually.
Regardless though, it's easy. You don't have to rifle it. You don't have to, especially since you're just walking up close, just bang bang, and that's easy. A
Well, he
boomstick,
missed the first
that's
shot
easy.
actually.
Well, I mean,
Um,
he's Japanese. I wasn't
yeah. Oh
expecting
well,
great
he is
accuracy.
military though.
That
But
don't mean anything.
no, fair enough.
Listen, Japan's one of their main strategies in the last war they fought was they were so bad at shooting, they just flew their planes into shit
Fair.
because it was just more accurate than trying to hit it with a bomb or a gun spray. So they would just fly headlong into the boat or whatever they were aiming at because the Japanese have a great warrior culture, at least they used to, but they are not the most accurate shots. They just aren't. For whatever reason, they just aren't.
Well,
They're not
I don't want to
great
get into
shots.
that too long because that'll take time. But the initially the problem was they were too cautious because they were trained to do this, this, and this. The pilots we're talking about,
Yep.
they wouldn't. And you still see it today. They wouldn't go outside of their training. They wouldn't think independently, right?
Right.
Whereas the Americans were the opposite. They were
Mhm.
a bunch of yahoos, that'll do whatever it takes, right? And that in the end is in that situation is quite useful. When they finally shifted it to the kamikaze, which is what you're talking about, they had huge like ceremonies and the emperor's decree and all that kind of stuff involved to get them to do that, right?
Mhm.
So it comes down to Japanese culture. I'll give you a good modern example. You go to a fast food store, right? And
Mhm.
they have like a chili dog at this one place that I like. And I was like, you know what? That chili on the hamburger would be good. So I said, I want a chili burger. I want the chili on the burger. And they were like, wait, what's not on the menu? Yeah, I know it's not. I'll pay for it though. But you got the chili right there. There's my hamburger. Take a spoon of that freaking chili and put it on the hamburger, right? And
Right.
they cannot do it. And you know why? Because it's not in the book.
Oh no.
Yeah. But that explains that quite a bit. But whatever, sad, certainly sad. Japan is certainly mourning. This is not something they're used to. It's not like America, dude. They're not used to this kind of shit. So
Yeah, it's
anyway,
tragic.
it
It
is.
genuinely is tragic. All jokes aside,
Of course.
Shinzo
Yeah.
might not have been the most popular man in the world, at least in politically, and a lot of people, especially American lefties, for some reason, really disliked him. Probably just because he wasn't a Trump hating guy or something. But Shinzo didn't do anything to deserve that.
No.
He
No.
wasn't. He's not that type of leader. Like you can make cases for leaders around the world that some of them maybe, but Shinzo didn't do that, and he didn't deserve. He didn't deserve to get summarily executed on the street like a criminal.
No, he didn't. And Kojima, for all his foolishness, doesn't deserve to be accused of it either.
No,
This
I.
just outrageous. Now, if it were just some rag, because you notice I haven't really mentioned the Greek newspaper at all, right?
Hmm.
But that's one thing. But this is a sitting French politician, dude.
Right.
Jesus, man, unbelievable. Anyway, moving on to something more fun involving guns.
Look at him. Trigun Stampede receives first trailer.
Mm.
Reveals new look for Vash the Stampede.
Uh-oh.
I don't
You
know. I don't
ready?
know about that new look.
Are you
Let's
ready?
see him.
Let's do it. Here we go. Oh, he is very different looking, dude. That's not the button I want to
Hmm.
push. Sorry. It's kind of intermittent, maybe. Oh, what do you think of this look, dude? What do you think?
We shall see. Let's see what he looks like as a big boy. So he's
Ooh.
definitely a lot younger.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Man, they girly boyed him up hard.
They did, dude.
What's with the?
CG.
Uh,
Well,
and
my
and it's
kids are
not even so
out.
much. It's not even so much the CG. I know why a lot of anime people hate that. I get it. It's, man, I don't know. I don't. He just doesn't seem to have that same. What's the word I'm looking for? Uh,
Cool
I don't know what you
factor.
call it. Yeah, that it factor about him because yeah, it's an animated character, obviously, so it's going to be a lot about the storylines and things. But there's something about the way you draw a character that matters,
Yeah, it's too
and
effeminate, dude.
that's yeah. He just looks, I don't know, too. I need like somebody. I'm surprised there's not one here, a side by side comparison
Yeah, I will find
of
one. There might be.
of our boy Vosh. I love Trigun though. Trigun is so good. It's so much fun, and Vosh is such a cool character. See, now look at that. Look at that original character. Just look at it and tell me that doesn't look much better.
Yeah, no, he definitely is had more of a nerdy look to him, if anything.
Yeah.
Or but this it's too feminized, yeah.
And he's his glasses too. Like, why are they trying to say his head's that much smaller, or what happened here? Why is
Well,
his
no,
glasses
he
humongous now?
he used to look like Egon, right?
Yeah,
And he might well have been modeled upon Egon. Now he looks like a girl.
yes. I don't like it. I'm be
Yeah,
honest with you. I don't like the look on his.
that's
I'll still
better.
I'm still gonna watch it, but that looks better right there.
Yeah,
But I don't like
yeah, it's
the cutiness of it. It's femboy
it
is the way I describe
is
it.
it is it's the CG doing it, dude. I think
Yeah.
it's the CG. He's too skinny too. He's too slight.
Yes.
This might be a
Yes.
younger Vosh though.
I think that's what they're going for. It's going to be like a prequel because, I mean,
Where did he come
spoilers.
from?
A
Yeah.
sequel doesn't make sense with
Yes.
the end of that story.
Yes.
So, um, it's got to be some sort of prequel, which is fine. I have no problem with that necessarily. But look at that. You can't tell me that doesn't look far more. Well, I'm just going to say it, far more masculine. He
Yeah,
has
it is
much
much
more
more.
male energy about him than in the other one.
Yeah.
But I'll give it a chance. I
Oh,
love
sure.
Trigun. they're not gonna. To me, it's there's nothing they could do to make me like Trigun less, simply because it was the first anime I ever really liked,
Yeah. So that's the
and
image in my
so
head
it'll
right
always have
there.
that.
This is the
Yeah,
image I
that's
have.
Vosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a very very Japanesey cowboyish look, meaning like the high collar and the glasses. Like to me, that we Cowboy Bebop see a space cowboy, but that he's literally a space cowboy. That's what he is, a space outlaw, like a space gunslinger.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I've always really liked his design. I thought it was interesting and it was cool. I will say to the end of time that Orin from Final Fantasy X was a ripoff design wise from Vosh,
Mhm.
right down to the glasses and jacket or the big coat thing that he's wearing.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I'm gonna like I said, I'll give it a chance. I
Sure.
want because I want to
Might
like
be
it,
good.
but if I can't get past the way he looks or he doesn't, because obviously this is going to be like an origin story and he's going to grow up in
Sure.
the series or whatever. So hopefully we get to this before the end and it's not as glaring, because some of
Mm,
those shots he did look a little bit more filled out,
a
right? He
little.
didn't look like
Yeah.
so much a young man.
Well, one of the things to keep in mind too is over here in Asia, the
Yep.
Koreans are having quite a, we'll say aesthetic fashion effect on the rest of Asia. They're having a huge effect, the Koreans right now. The Chinese are pushing back against it harshly. And I hate to agree with the Chinese government, but I kind of do. Here in Japan, they're leaning into it. Just the Japanese can't ever lean into anything too hard, really. It's Japan. But what
Right.
the Koreans are doing with their boy bands like BTS and things like that, these boys, whether they be homosexual or not, doesn't matter. They are
Hmm.
if excessively effeminate, excessively effeminate. Makeup, little girly things, little girly hand motions, little girly, it's very girly. And I've actually spoken to high school girls over here in my classes, right? And I've asked them this question about it, right? "Well, what do you think of this?" Because they love the Korean boy bands more than the Japanese ones, right?
Sure.
And even the adult women like it, or like Korean drama more than to be fair, Japanese drama sucks balls, but whatever. And the Koreans are trying to put out some content, right? But I asked the girls, and I was like, is this really what you want? Now they're just girls; they're literally children. They're high school kids, right? So they don't know shit.
Hmm.
But I asked them, is that really what you want in a man? Is that really what you're looking for? And all of them, every one of them said no. And I'm like, "Well, okay. Well, then why are you so desperate about it?" Because they are freaking thirsty, dude, right?
Hmm.
And fair enough. I know young kids, being attracted to each other and stuff. What's wrong with that, right? But
Right.
and they're like, because they're fun to talk to.
Oh boy.
I'm like, what? Men are not there for you to talk to.
Right. We have many jobs, men. That is not one of them.
Yeah, Corlock
Um,
Ben says J dramas rocks. They are trying hard, dude. They are trying hard. But yeah, and it is what it is, I guess. And Japanese anime is starting to really reflect that.
that's a shame,
Yeah,
because that'll hurt it in the end, I think. Um,
it's a fad.
yeah, I just
It'll.
hopefully, as long as they do my boy Vosh correctly, because Vosh has a little bit of that the goofiness, right? Like
He
a lot
does.
of
He does.
anime protagonists have. He was one of the first ones that kind of became the trope really heavy after around his time is when that really started to become a trope. Because if you go back, they weren't like that. Not all of them. There were some, but not all of them. And then he was one of the ones that helped carry it forward. Like Cowboy Bebop, Spike isn't really like that. He has his moments, but by and large, he's not too goofy.
He's very
Um,
masculine, though. Yeah, he's
yes.
extremely masculine. And Ben, your slip is showing. You want to probably tuck that shit in.
But no, I'll give it a chance. Like I said, I'm going to give it a chance. Trigun is genuinely one of my it is my favorite anime. It's one of the first ones
Yeah.
I ever watched. I haven't watched it in a very long time. I'll probably watch it again before this comes out. And yeah, I'll give it a chance. Hopefully, it's really good. They can overcome this silly decision they went with the art style, and let Vosh be the cool, badass outlaw type gunslinger character he
That
can
he should
be.
be, yeah. Yeah, we'll see,
Yeah,
we'll see. I know my kids will not watch it because it has CG. They won't touch it.
yeah.
A lot of Japanese are very anti that. But me personally, I will watch stuff with that, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's not. Uh, like they came out a few years ago with Saint Seiya. They kind of did like a reboot of it. That was pretty horrible,
Mhm.
dude. That was pretty horrible. Yeah. But we'll see. Although with when I do talk to the kids, because it's not just the girls, the boys also like the Korean boy band stuff, and I will try to educate them. Elrod, I try, and what I do is I play Man of War for them.
Probably traumatizing them.
Yeah, they
That's
look at
too
me
much
sideways.
testosterone,
It's
Chester. They
funny. Yeah,
can't deal with it.
it's funny. Well, I'm just an
Japan,
old man, right? I'm an old dude, but they don't.
the East is such a
Okay,
strange
Sensei.
culture to me. It's such a strange culture to me, and obviously it's not my culture, but it's such a strange culture how there's so little masculinity in it.
It is a
It's at least
problem.
that's what it looks like from the outside looking in, and I hate to agree with the Chinese. They're right. They need to
In
remasculinize
this way,
because,
they are. Yeah.
especially from the East, where we get the very concept of yin and yang, you can't let them get out of balance,
Oh,
and they're
Korea's
way
way
out
out
of
of balance.
balance.
Korea's really bad. Yeah.
Way out of balance. Yeah, it's
But
bad.
you know, this is also we talked about this a couple times, and it's a factor it plays in. If you're a white Western dude, a tall, especially tall white Western dude, and
Yeah.
the shorter you get and the less white you get, the less effective this is. But if you're a tall white dude, a la me, and you come into Asia, you are just assaulted by women. It doesn't matter
I like
where in Asia you are assaulted. Why is that? Well, there's a little bit of it thinking that the white man is the power of the world and they're all rich, which of course isn't true. But there's a little bit of that.
if only.
But really, one of the big factors that comes into it is actually this: a Western dude, and it actually for them, because they don't really like darker people here in Asia for some reason. I don't know why. It's not like they have many around, but whatever. It just kind of is a general consensus, I
Well,
guess.
it is kind of weird
Um,
too when you think about it, because the darkest people in the world come from Asia. But go
well,
on.
I'm talking about Orientals here. I'm not talking
I know.
about yeah. But anyway, aside from that, but a big factor is that Western dudes, which isn't actually racial, is my point, but Western guys we'll want to go out and do something. Hey, let's go out and eat. Hey, let's go dancing. Hey, let's go over here and do this. Hey, let's save money so we can go on a trip over here, or let's go do this. Western guys have a
Yeah,
great deal of ambition, right? Whether it be fruitful or not doesn't matter. We just kind of have it built in, right? Asian dudes are sedentary, and it's probably why they've been so successful for over thousands of years, right?
probably why
So
they live so long.
Well, sure, but a Western dude, he's got to go to work, he's got to come home, he's going to have his dinner, he's got to go to bed, and that's about all he wants to do, right? Now, certain places are starting to have some adjustment. Here in Japan, we're seeing more outgoing dudes doing more. It is changing, particularly in Japan and a little bit in Korea. But the rest of the places in Asia, especially in the countryside, that is not happening. So these girls in the Orient, they recognize this and they see it very clearly. So they want to do this once they want to do something. So a dude that'll go out and hey, let's go over here, let's go dancing, let's go on this ride, let's take a trip over there. Hey, let's save our money and get a boat so we can go sailing or whatever. It's just not how Asian men think. They just don't think that way. They're not wrong. It's
Mhm.
just not their culture. And I think that's much more of a factor than the illusion that white men are all rich. Because a lot of people just throw it on that, and there's probably a little bit of that, but I really think it comes down to how they operate. And now with these, you're seeing ever growing effeminization of men in Asia, worldwide, really. This is I know the girls say, "Well, he's fun to talk to." Well, yeah, all gay dudes are fun to talk to for women, right? You think you have an
Hmm.
insight and you got a new girlfriend, but it's not the dude you want in your bed, right?
That's right.
So I don't know what's going to happen here in Asia, but I'll give you an
Well, it's
example.
also oftentimes those effeminate men are far more likely to be emotionally abusive.
Maybe,
Uh,
maybe.
and this is just my observation of them. Men who are like that, a truly a masculine man, especially Western masculine and Eastern too. I mean, that's where thoughtfulness and mindfulness and Shinto and Confucianism comes from. Is typically much more thoughtful, is much more introspective, calm. They control their emotions. We call it stoic over here in the West. They have other terms for it in the East, but it's the same idea. You keep your emotions under control. Masculinity is supposed to be about order and control, whereas femininity is about chaos and beauty. These two things do not are opposites, but they also gel very well and are necessary, hence the yin and yang. So their Eastern philosophy largely is based in that concept. And a feminized man, typically, at least this is my experience when I'm around them, you can't trust them. They're not honest. They're not dependable. They're not reliable. They don't do things like I did today, where my mother-in-law's dryer was broken, so I went over there and fixed it.
Sure.
I didn't. It apparently had been broken for months and nobody told me. So once I found out, I said, "Okay, I'm going to come fix it," and I just did. That isn't something you're going to get from a man who isn't in touch with his masculine side, if I can use their language. Masculinity is an important part of the human condition. It's an incredibly important part of the male condition, and I think the left calls it toxic masculinity. I don't think it's masculinity at all. I think that's femininity disguising itself as in a masculine shell, um, where it doesn't belong, and it's just toxic behavior in general. I don't think that masculine men, truly masculine men, the ones I've known anyway, were dangerous in the same way. Now they'll defend themselves and they can maybe inflict great harm to people who deserve it, but they're not going to go abuse a woman. They're not going to go abuse somebody who's weaker than them, or
Well, protectors
you
don't
know.
do that anyway. That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Though that's why a woman shouldn't want that kind of man, because one, that kind of man ain't going to be able to protect you
Well,
from an actually dangerous masculine man.
I
They're
just
just
told you
not.
that they don't, though. They
Yeah,
don't, because I asked them. I said, "Is that really what you want?" And they were like, "No."
right,
You know, I
right.
mean, I can't go any deeper in a conversation with a bunch of high school kids. But they at least they were honest about it. Ben says, "If you're extremely hairy, it negates all the other factors." Well, dude, you grab them up around the hair and around the waist, you pull them into yourself, you win.
That's true. It's true. That is
Yeah.
that is a good way to win. Women seem to like it. I don't understand. Somebody tries to pull me around by my hair, I'm gonna get angry,
Oh
but
no, they
ladies love
like
it.
it. They love it,
Yeah,
dude. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is. They like to be dominated. Something about that. I don't know.
yeah. Something about them.
Mm. But anyway, it is interesting, and all of that, and we'll see. I hope it's good. But the effeminization of things is kind of a Western worldwide thing for sure.
Yeah.
We'll see how
And
it
I
works that
think
out.
we're heading for a correction. I think
That's
the
true, Bev.
Chinese
That's true.
observation of it is accurate, and it's dangerous to allow your culture to slip into this almost regressive mindset where
Oh, sure.
men don't have to be men.
But
And no,
the
you need
Chinese
men.
will overreact. Understand that.
Of course,
Yeah.
that's what they do. They're
Yeah.
very good at overreacting.
Yeah. They will. Yeah. So they make good food though. Okay.
Yes.
Now this is just hilarious. Go ahead.
Oh no. Twitter activists call for Umbrella Academy actor Elliot Page to replace Ezra Miller as the Flash. You know what? Fuck it. Following Twitter bans of Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin. Um,
Okay.
I don't know what that last part has to do with the first part, but that
Well,
first part is absolutely hilarious. You know what, DC? You literally can't get worse at this point than Ezra Miller. He is a train wreck. Why not? And
yeah.
you're never going to give me the blonde hair, blue eyed, good looking Chad, literal Chad meme that is my boy Barry Allen. I'm not going to get him. So then just give me something else. I don't
Well,
care. You're already parading a bunch of weird weird brown-haired dudes. I mean, Grant Gustin's a good actor, but physical appearance-wise, he's not Barry Allen. I don't understand how we can go 10 years where we had these guys who fit the mold of the character they're playing very well, and then we get these. We have never had a good Barry Allen. Never. I don't understand. I don't understand, Chester. I don't understand.
Yeah, well, I'll get into why these things because they are directly connected. One thing fueled the other. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about Ellen Page. Now, this girl has been around for a little while. The only thing I've ever seen her in, she played Kitty Pryde in X-Men. She was there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. She
She's in.
existed.
She existed. She's in the Umbrella Academy. Once again, she was there. She's not a bad actress. She's not a good actress. She's just
No,
kind
she's
of there.
capable. Yeah.
She does the
Yeah.
job, so fine. I have no trouble with it. But I mean, I don't. Only thing I've seen her a lot in is the Umbrella Academy. But to be fair, the most interesting characters in the Umbrella Academy are Klaus and number five. I mean, they're
Yeah.
the most interesting. She's the least interesting. But she's
Yeah.
not bad. So her acting it does the job that they need. However,
Sure.
she does not have the chops to be a lead character.
No.
She's fine in the
No.
background. I think she does the job. But she's
Supporting
not.
actor.
She's a supporting actress, is what she is. She's
Yeah.
not a lead. For one, two, she is a midget.
Yes. Very short.
She is
Very, very short.
excessively little, right? Super, super
Yeah.
little human. Now, to be fair, though, in the Umbrella Academy, because she's obviously been transitioning through that show, um, she looked very sickly and unhealthy, dude. Very unhealthy.
Mm.
Because my wife and I, we often notice it about how unhealthy a lot of these people look, and being parents and teachers and stuff like that, we kind of have that more feel of that, right?
Yeah.
However, I have seen now, and the pictures of her very recently, where she at least looks healthier though. So
Mm.
that's a positive because she looked bad, dude, in the Umbrella Academy. I don't know what the whole big deal about her cutting her tits off because she didn't have any anyway. I
Right.
mean,
Cut off her
yeah,
nipples, basically.
well, I don't know what she did because I mean, a lot of girls kind of get the flat chested thing at them, but they do have some breasts. She's literally flat chested.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the big change with that was. Her forehead has been growing for years, so fine. The masculine probably works for her. But aside what I said that you can act like a man all you want, you know nothing about being a man. I don't really care about all of that noise, really. But the suggestion of her being the Flash is idiotic. Ezra Miller played the role fine. He's certainly tall enough to play the role.
Eh,
He was
you say
fine,
so.
dude. It was
He
fine.
was the weakest part of all the movies he was in as the Flash. All versions of it. He was the weakest part of
Maybe,
all the main
but
cast.
it wasn't bad. You know,
Yeah.
it would be worse with
His
her.
running
She's
was
too
bad.
little. That was really goofy. Yeah, I don't
That running,
understand that.
what was that?
But and of course she hasn't said anything about this, but the political thing is coming out of this. Now, what happened was, and you guys probably know, that Jordan Peterson put out this thing. Remember when
Oh
Pride,
yeah,
and he's talking about, the actual sin of Pride, right?
that's right.
Not month, right? Was a sin. And Ellen Page just had her breast removed by a criminal physician. Now, he's talking about criminal physician because a man transitioning to woman has problems. There are medical dangers for sure,
Hmm.
and what have you. But transitioning from a woman to a man has more, right? Um, and it's it can be quite deadly, and a lot of doctors won't do a lot of the women to man transition surgeries because they carry very high risks of danger and death. And this physician did. That's why he's calling the guy criminal. Okay, fine. That's a medical conversation. But Twitter banned him for this or suspended him for this, and they said, "We'll put you back on if you take
Hmm.
it down." He's like, "Fuck you, I'll die first." Shoot.
Yeah.
And there it is. And he says, "I've essentially been banned for Twitter as a consequence. I stay banned. I say banned, although technically I have been suspended. But the suspension will not be lifted until I delete the hateful tweet in question, and I would rather die than do that." Peterson continued. "And hopefully it will not come to that," he said. "Although who the hell knows in this increasingly strange days." Fair. Now, okay, well, they don't like Jordan Peterson because he tells young men to improve themselves. And for some
To
reason,
be
that's
men.
bad.
Yeah.
I don't, whatever. He hardly talks about women. It's about he talks about men and what men should do, amongst many other things. It isn't just that, but whatever. But then Rubin, Dave Rubin, who keep in mind is a liberal and a
Mhm.
homosexual who came from the Young Turks. Let's just remember all this, okay? He said he went and he put out a tweet simply showing this. And the insanity continues at Twitter. Jordan Peterson has been suspended for this tweet about Ellen Page. He just told me he will never delete the tweet. That's all he put, and he got the same thing and got banned as well. Now, Jordan will not uh, 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 relinquish his stance. He won't. He won't. But Dave did, and Dave said he hoped that Elon would do his thing, purchase of Twitter and deal with the situation. Although it looks like he's trying to back out of it. Although I think it's more of a tactic. Anyway, he did make a decision. After much deliberation, I have decided to delete the tweet of a screenshot which got me suspended for Twitter. Elliot Page is a great man who must never be questioned. As for Ellen Page, well, she was less great.
Oh,
All
Ruben.
right, all right.
Ruben
For
blocked me once on Twitter a long
did
time
he?
ago. Yeah.
Well, he's a liberal. That's my point. For the
Yeah, he
record,
got
I
triggered.
strongly consider not coming back, and perhaps that is the right move. They will slowly purge anyone who tells the truth. That much is clear. But for now, I choose to stay and fight on the territory while we build better products at on locals and Rumble, etc. But now, here's the thing: I haven't heard or seen any comments out of Ellen at all. Right?
Yeah.
Not that I've seen, nothing. And you know, I will say about this young lady, she's highly confused. One moment she's on Colbert talking about scissoring girls. The next moment
Mhm.
she's dating a dude talking about getting dicked. And then the next moment she's a man. And then the next moment she's a man, but she's with a dude.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a lot going on in that brain. This girl is highly confused, and clearly no one is around to help her out. But whatever. I haven't heard any noise from her, and I think it's a separate issue. This is not her opinion. This is other people. And what they decided to
Mhm.
do was coming out of this argument between about Rubin and Peterson, that some reason they started talking about Ezra Miller, who needs to be replaced for Barry Allen, and that Ellen Page would be a good choice. And it just kind
Yeah.
of rolled on, and rolled on. And Ben agrees.
Ben
Ben
likes
thinks
it
it's a
apparently. Oh,
great joke.
X-Man or Wolverine.
Yeah, and then they
No.
they start going to Wolverine, which
Um,
she's too. So, although take a look at this
no.
picture, the tattoos are dumb as shit, but whatever. She
Yeah.
looks way better right now, dude. She looks so
Yeah.
sickly. So at least the testosterone, and she's working out, and she looks better. But this girl is an absolute midget. She's way too small to play Barry Allen. Now, she might be the right play size, height wise, to play Wolverine, but of course, she doesn't have the size. And once again, she doesn't know how to act well enough to fake that. So it's not like that lady. Who's the lady that played the Ancient One in Doctor Strange? She played Gabrielle and Constantine. What's that lady's name?
Oh, can't remember her name, but I know who you're
She can
talking
pull off a
about.
dude. She can pull it off. That lady
She
can.
pulls off androgynous very well as
And
well.
and I've seen her do male as well, and she does it well.
Yeah.
She knows how to act that,
Yes.
so it depends on the actress. I think some actresses can certainly pull it off, but she can't.
No, listen. Ezra had no business being Barry Allen. Grant, as much as I like his portrayal, I think he did a decent enough job. Has no business being Barry Allen. Obviously, Elliot, Ellen, whatever. that person's name is has no business being Barry Allen. There
No.
has to be, in all of America and Europe, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed man of around 6 feet in decent physical condition who can play fucking Barry Allen.
I'm sure.
I will refuse all others until I get that. No, no, no. And I don't want to hear about,
Chris
well, we can
Evans.
dye his hair. No, I want a natural blonde with natural blue eyes.
Aw.
I am sick of this nonsense. I'm sick of it.
Yeah,
If
well,
you don't want to do
you're not
Barry
gonna get it,
Allen,
dude.
then don't do him.
Maybe when
If
you're
you
old
don't
man.
want Barry, don't do him.
Yeah.
Pick Wally. You can do whatever you want to Wally. I don't care. You can make Wally into a three-legged man. I don't give a shit. Fuck Wally. But leave Barry alone, because Barry has never, ever had a good aesthetically representation of him in live action that I know of, that I can think of. And it's tragic. It's genuinely tragic because I love Barry Allen. Flash, he's the dude. I like the Flash, and we'll just, for some reason, Hollywood just absolutely hates his aesthetic, and we're just not allowed to have that. You know who would have made a good Barry Allen when he was a little bit smaller and a little younger? Is the guy who plays Reacher. Now he's a little too bulky, and he's
Yeah,
older.
he's way too
But
bulky.
yeah, when he was younger though, he was a lot leaner. He would have been great.
You
Been
know,
great. But no.
he would be really, really, really good for Doc Savage though.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
You know what else he wouldn't suck as is Doom.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. That's not a bad idea. Tilda Swindon. Thank you very much, Alan. Yeah, that's right. Now, so my
Oh
point.
yeah. Stupid over here. That's his name. I'm not calling him stupid. Miles Teller. Miles Teller. The only problem with Miles Teller is he's got that weird like no chin situation, but I can ignore that because otherwise he has a great physique, and I think he can make a good Barry Allen. Miles Teller plays in the new Top Gun Maverick movie. He plays Goose's son.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. And he
yeah,
looked like Goose's son.
he
Interestingly.
looks just like the guy. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. But I could let that happen just mainly because at least finally Barry won't be a manlet. Can I please? Barry's not a manlet. He's not a giant. He's not like Superman big, but he's still not a manlet. Manlets everywhere. They're all over, Chester. I'm tired of them.
It's the trend. It's the trend. But it's kind of a silly article. But the whole thing about Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin, Twitter is just unequal. They don't believe in equality whatsoever because they don't enforce their rules equally. However, even though I think this young lady is mentally broken, I think there's something bad going on with her. Um, at least though, she does look way better because man, she was looking bad, sickly, dude. So at least from that point of view, like a fatherly point of view, I think she's a little healthier. These tattoos are so dumb, though. Why do you have these
Yeah,
tattoos?
I don't understand what those tattoos are about at
Yeah,
all.
the weird ass tattoos. But well, whatever. I'm not really here to talk about her specifically. And like I said, she didn't seem to insinuate herself into the situation whatsoever. But okay. But Twitter.
Good old Twitter.
Yeah.
Hi,
Moving.
Chihuahua.
Elrod says that Miles Teller always looks like someone just punched him. Fair enough. Fair enough.
He does a bit, yeah.
Now, this next one I thought was telling.
Lightyear director Angus MacLane, there's a name, attacks critics after film gets embarrassed by Minions: The Rise of Gru.
Yeah. Well, this I thought was very interesting because, yeah, no, I agree, Ben, in a way. Although I really think, Ben, that she's got some serious mental issues, dude. She's all over the place, dude. And honestly, she shouldn't be cutting on herself in that state of mind, Ben. That
Yep.
girl is messed up, dude. And anyone around her should have protected her. But nevertheless, moving on. Now, I put this up here because not only does Hollywood attack the fans if they disagree, now they're attacking
Yep.
other movies that have said nothing to them whatsoever. right?
I love it.
Uh,
I love it.
because Lightyear, it didn't do well, and it didn't do well for several reasons. Uh,
Yeah.
did it get dragged through the mud because of its nonsense with the mom kiss and the fact that
Hmm.
Buzz Lightyear realizes that he's gay by the end? Okay, yes. But it also got dragged through the mud because it didn't make sense for what it was supposed to be. It's basically The
Yeah.
Martian in a CG format, and it's certainly no movie that the boy from Toy Story Andy would have got all excited about. So the
Right.
complaints, and then there were some other things as far as consistency as well, just simple basic
Well,
critiques.
and I'm going to tell you right now, people keep trying to undersell this. I honestly think one of the biggest ones was No Tim Allen.
That was another
He's
one.
beloved.
And Ben's right. It's a bummer of a film, and that's not fun. This should have
Yes.
been a family film. You and I talked
It's
about
Buzz
this.
Lightyear.
It's Buzz
It's Buzz
Lightyear. They
Lightyear.
own
He's supposed
freaking
to be fun.
yeah, but they own Star Wars, dude. Make a full-on parody. It could have been great fun,
Yes.
right? But
Yes.
they didn't, and therefore, for all the various reasons, their movie failed, right?
Right.
Minions, which is what the fifth or sixth thing about
Oh, at
Gru
least.
and the
Yeah.
Minions, which is amazing the legs it has, is people like it. It's a good family film. They went out, they had a
It's
laugh,
fun.
they enjoyed it, and it did well. Now,
That's right.
Minions has nothing to do with Lightyear, but the Lightyear director is mad. He's mad
He's
that they
big mad.
made money. He's big mad that people are trying to compare the two. And really, all only comparison I see is people saying, "Well, Minions is just a straight fun family movie and made a lot of money, dumbass." And he's angry
Poor,
about that. He says, "If you
poor
believe the
baby.
comparison, it's poison." I think Grimlock. But
Believe
He
the
should have
comparison.
maybe he should have made a movie that wasn't bullshit.
Yeah. Just did you try that? Did you make a good movie? I don't know. Try
And
that
and
first, and then you get to complain if it doesn't make
and, his,
money.
and all the things that they're saying, well, you know it's bullshit because you know it's the typical deflect bullshit because one, they had already did a Buzz Lightyear series that had nothing to do with Toy Stories. People forget that it was an animated series,
yeah, no,
and
I do
it
remember
had a
that.
decent legs, and you could have took some of that and made this movie like that.
Yep.
Because again, you're supposed to be showing people what Buzz Lightyear was supposed to be. What made Andy want fucking Buzz Lightyear?
Right.
That
That's
ain't
important.
doing it.
Well,
Um. Also, and I know people get tired of hearing this, but people are tired of seeing movies where the supposed main character is often sidelined for some new character nobody cares about, nobody was asking for.
well, because
You put,
you gotta have one of every color.
who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
In the animated series, he had a female partner. She was an alien. She was part of Star Command. You could have brought that character back too, and it would
Yeah.
have worked out better than the
Yeah, but
bullshit you
she's
did. But
not
because
black, and black is the best thing ever. You're so
Ever.
lucky,
I'm black,
Grimlock.
I'm black, and I could give less than a fuck
Yeah,
if
but
she
you're
was black.
special now.
They just wanted to put yet another black lesbian in the movie as though nobody's not noticing that trend.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
nobody's not noticed that Disney. You've been doing that for the last 10 years. We noticed black people don't like it. Trust me. I got about 38 years of experience in, and I talk and believe it or not, I talk to black people on a regular basis. They don't
Oh yeah.
fucking
Wait
like
a
it.
minute.
I
I don't
Oh,
imagine.
believe it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all that aside, I just thought it was interesting because they love when they fail, they love yelling at the fans recently.
Yeah.
But now they're
Yeah.
yelling at other movies that have no connection or have said nothing. If the Minions
The
director had come
entitlement.
out and said, "Hey, take that, like you suck," okay,
He should have.
that would have been funny.
but they didn't say
I'd go see that
anything.
movie. I'd go see that movie just because he did.
Well, I'm not
Because
going to
he
watch
did.
either one of these movies. I don't have any kids in the house. So I'm not going to watch them. And Ben, I don't know. I haven't seen the film. The Japanese news said that, so
Yeah.
I don't really know. But aside from that, so I'll never see him, and I won't know. I just thought it was funny that he's literally bashing on a movie that has done nothing to you.
Hmm.
He's big
Yeah.
mad though.
Huge mad. Big old mad coming off of him. I love it. Uh, I just love it. I like watching Hollywood be petty and vindictive to Hollywood.
Yeah.
I don't want them to do that to the fans because it's stupid and annoying. But I like it when they are to each other because that's entertaining. Kind of like at the Oscars when old Will smacked Chris. Yeah, obviously Will was way out of line,
Mm,
but it was still entertaining as shit.
it was. It was. Well, but the thing is, if Lightyear had come out and was this great, Star Wars-esque parody, fun movie
Yeah,
that Andy loved, I'm much more inclined to watch that than I would be a Minion movie, for fuck's sake. I mean, if
right,
I had kids in the house, sure, of course, I've seen Minion movies. They're fun. But I mean, it's because I have my kids, right?
right,
But
right.
I'm not interested in either one. But if this was what it should have been, I'm much more likely to watch that as a one-off with my wife. Ben says I saw it, nothing like that. I saw in the film. Well, I don't know. The Japanese media said it, and my wife kind of reacted to it. But that, I don't care about anyway. I don't really care any about it. It's not the point. Your movie failed for various reasons, because
Yeah,
talk like Ben. I don't know why Ben isn't in here, but and go back to we were talking about the Umbrella Academy a little bit because Ellen Page is in it, and she's fine, but she's nowhere near the most interesting thing. The most interesting characters in that show are Klaus and Number Five.
yes, sir.
There's no argument, right? And
And the monkey.
and Pogo, yeah, Pogo's cool too.
Yeah,
But everyone else they're important, I think. But Klaus is the best. And
yeah,
understand that this is a drugged out, whacked out guy. Although he has a story arc though, a legitimate one,
yes,
right?
yeah,
But
good one.
a
It's a
gay guy.
proper way to have a gay storyline
Oh, he's
in my
great,
opinion.
dude.
It's how
And
you do it.
yeah,
Yeah,
and here's a gay character that I love that character, dude. He's awesome. And there are many.
he is.
My point is, you can do it right. You can do it right. Because Klaus,
Yeah,
just as far as a modern example, Klaus is freaking awesome. That show would suck without him, dude.
yep. Him and
He's
Five, especially. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
five.
would be
Well,
nothing. It'd
five
be a
is
joke.
just the little shit you want to murder,
And he's
right?
older than you, Chester.
I know he is, but he's just a little shit. But he's awesome. And Pogo, they did Pogo really well. And actually, the father Hargreaves, you don't see him a lot, but he does a good job too. Actually, that actor
Yep.
is pretty good. But I like Umbrella Academy altogether. I haven't seen season 3 yet, because I don't know why, but I'd seen season 1. And I saw season 3 was coming, like, ooh, awesome. And then I realized I didn't watch season 2. Like, what?
Hmm.
So I'm going back and rewatching from the beginning, and I'll watch through season 3. Although I've got mixed receptions over here, because half of you are saying it sucks, Chester, and the other half's like it's awesome, Chester. I don't know, but I'm going to watch it anyway. Um,
I watched season one. I liked season one a lot. I
yeah.
liked how it ended and everything. I watched a little bit of season two, but it didn't pull me in. We just kind of stopped watching it, the wife and I. So
Well, I'm
maybe
gonna.
I'll finish it up and see what happens. But I don't know. It was just one of those shows where that first season, Netflix does this a lot. Actually, they'll have a lot of shows that their first seasons are really good, really engaging, and they're just well made, and then they just fall off really fast. I guess that's a lot of TV shows in general, but Netflix seems to have a big problem with it, and I don't know. You could say it's political. Some of it is, but it's also I just think they just get lazy at
Yeah,
Netflix for whatever
yeah.
reason.
But then I think a lot of times they're focusing on some political point they want to make instead of making a good show that has your political point, right?
Right.
That's an
Which
issue.
the first season with Klaus did a fantastic job of that.
Oh, he's got a great story
They
arc. He really
yeah,
does. And I'm not going to
they
give any
told a
spoilers.
story
It's wonderful.
first. They told a story first and tied it back into their messaging. That's how you do it.
Yeah, but I
That's
don't
what
even know
Star
if it
Trek
was
used to do.
messaging though. I think
Well,
it
it
happens
is,
to
but
be a
it's
gay
not as
character.
overt.
No,
It
well,
is. It's just not as overt.
yeah.
Like Star Trek used to do it all the time. I love Star Trek. I'm a huge Star Trek guy. I had every one of the movies at one point in my life. I've had multiple versions of them. Um, but it used to do that all the time. It had political messaging, had political philosophical political debates and
Sure.
things.
Yeah.
But it typically, when it did it well, it told you a story first, and then that
Hmm.
stuff was pulled back through it.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, that's my point. You can it does if you do it well, it doesn't matter. is my
Right.
point. But Ben says I saw it. No, no, not that. Where is it? Here. This is like when D&D blamed Endgame for why people hated the final episode of Game of Thrones. What?
What?
Did you have a brain fart, Ben?
wait, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a
What?
minute. Wait a minute.
D&D?
That happened. D&D was the name. That's what they call the directors of Game of Thrones. The show. They were called
Oh,
D&D.
I'm okay.
Um,
I'm not living in the
but
in the
that's
states.
hilarious. Listen, there's a lot of things to blame Endgame about, but no, the reason why the last episode or last season of Game of Thrones sucked is because you guys suck. That's why
No,
you're hacks.
it just sucked. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
season 5 was fine. Season 6, no. Season 7, worse. Season 8, what are you doing? They
Yeah.
screwed that up because they were arrogant. They got too big for their britches. Britches. I thought he was talking about Dungeons and Dragons. Sorry.
That's
I don't know. That's true. That is pretty true. They usually don't contract beyond 3 years. But anyway, I'm going to move on from this. I just thought it was hilarious. This guy is literally yelling at another movie for making more money than his movie. How dare they? It's like,
Yep.
dude, grow the fuck up, Angus.
Entitlement. Extreme
Yeah.
entitlement from Angus.
Well, Anus, you had one job: make
Sure.
a good movie.
That's true. And
You didn't do that.
my man, talk about missed opportunities.
Yes.
Lightyear could have made ridiculous money, dude.
Here's what I would have done with it. You could do the Star Wars parody type deal. That would have been fine. But I think people have been chasing Star Wars for far too long. The lightning in the bottle that was the first Star Wars movie, especially. Even Star Wars has been chasing that magic for far too long. When space sci-fi is such a huge potential, it's limitless, really. They could have done some really cool stuff with it. So what we know about Buzz Lightyear is, he's part of Space Command and he can fly, and because he has a jetpack. The real Buzz Lightyear has a jetpack and laser beams, and we know he's basically like a space marine, right?
Yeah.
That could have been really freaking cool to see a totally different take on it. Instead, they just aped a different popular quote unquote sci-fi movie. And they threw a bunch of unnecessary messaging in there that in the end hurt the movie because it was banned in a bunch of countries, and it gave it the wrong kind of press. I honestly think that the idea that you can have negative press, meaning like they had with this movie, all kinds of negativity around it for various reasons, whether it be Tim Allen not in it or the gay stuff, whatever, and still get across the finish line, I think that's pretty much over. I really do. I think people have been burned too many times by just shit movies that have all the right accoutrement, and then they get a bunch of attention, and people are just over that. I don't
Yeah.
think it's going to work anymore. I don't think that type of agitated outrage marketing, as far as drawing people to a film, I just don't see it being profitable going forward. And I think it kind of plays out in every single major movie we've seen in the last 8 months or so. All the ones that have made a lot of money, they didn't do any of that. There was none of this
Yes.
what's what I'm looking for, agitation, where they're seemingly trying to agitate parts of the fan base because
Right.
they don't like their politics or whatever the hell the reason
Yeah,
is.
just make a good movie. I mean, if you want to
Yeah.
make money anyway, just make a good
Yeah.
movie. So, anyway, let's move on.
Ooh. Sequel to Godzilla vs. Kong gets its release date. Hey, a comma. Will feature Godzilla. Okay. I'm
Well,
happy.
why wouldn't it?
I'm happy.
Well,
right.
no, meaning
That's a good point.
the last Godzilla versus Kong was mainly from Kong's point of view. This one's going to be from
That's
Godzilla's
true.
point of view.
Yeah.
That's what they
Godzilla
mean.
was almost the antagonist for most of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is going to
Um,
be reversed. But we
So
don't
we're
have
getting
much.
first-person Godzilla mode. Is that what they're?
No, I don't think so. But just more, it's going to be following him instead of Kong. The last movie was fine. I didn't, it was
Great.
fine.
what I wanted.
Yeah, it was, good monster fighting and stuff like that. So I'm glad to see it continuing. And they're talking about various things that are done before and what they're going to do with it. We have no clue. So there's not much beyond the announcement. However, Like I said, they're not these amazing movies for eternal type of stuff. But they're good for what they are. Good old monster fighting. I mean, that fight between Godzilla, Kong, and Mechagodzilla was great. That was wonderful.
Yep.
So hopefully we get more of that, and I'm really happy to see Godzilla getting a kind of a fifth life here. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I am too. I'm glad we're gonna get another one. Does it say if it's the same team as Godzilla versus Kong, the same director and everything? Because I know
Let's
he
see.
really wanted to make more.
We have
Um,
updates about Godzilla versus Kong, a sequel that's in works from returning director Adam Wingard. Yep, and Legacy Pictures. Yep, same team.
nice. That's very good because if you remember back when Godzilla vs Kong came out, he gave an interview, and he was literally basically saying what I just said. He doesn't understand this weird trend, and he didn't use these exact words, but that's what he meant. This trend in Hollywood to not give the audience what they want, to not to like kind of pick on your audience a bit, and he's not about any of that. He listened to the audience. The audience said they wanted much less to do with the humans, much more about the monsters themselves. That's what he tried to give them in Godzilla versus Kong. It was very much Kong's story.
Yeah,
Um, and I think that's the way to go. If we could get a Transformers movie like that, would be great. But I think that's the right move, and I think he understands. And he said he wanted to make more because he wants to focus on them even more. He said if that movie did well and they got a chance to make more because they were planning on that being the last one, depending on how well it did and did fairly well, that's was the plan going forward. We were going to get much more about the monsters themselves. They're the stars of the show. We need to let
yeah,
them be the stars of the show. People want to watch them. People want to see them fight and do, learn more about them and whatever. And if it's done well, we don't need some like super deep, great lore about like you don't need Warhammer esque lore, super
no,
deep lore.
they are adding some lore to it though, and that's fine with
Yes,
me.
that's fine.
And
Yeah,
it's the next month they're starting production in Australia. So,
good, good. But as
uh,
long as they stick to a very simple, we don't need any great twists. We don't need you to try and outsmart the audience and stuff. No, just tell me simple monster movies. Let them fight, as the man said. Watanabe said in the first one, let them fight, and just get out of the way and let people enjoy it.
yeah,
People go there to
yeah.
watch the monsters fight. Let us do that, please,
Yeah, no,
please.
that was certainly one of the negative things of the last movie was all the people stuff. We don't need it. We need very little
Yeah,
of the people stuff, really. And that kind of weird looking girl from Stranger Things too is like, no, what are you doing? But
yes.
no, I agree 100%.
Who
And
dreamed?
Elrod, you are correct about the book, but you're not correct about the series. The series, he was fired by D&D.
Hmm,
That's on them, not him. But the books, you're right. You're right. But anyway, this is good news. Cool. I've been enjoying them. Like I said, the human stuff is dumb. But
yep,
the monster fighting is great. So awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Kong was awesome in that movie. I love the little story arc they gave him. It was good. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
And
Solid.
and it showed very clearly Godzilla wins.
Yes. Because of course he does. Come on,
Of
let's
course he
quit being
does.
ridiculous.
Yeah. That's right. Anyway, moving on. Oh my.
Net, Netflix taps don't hey, whoa, calm down Netflix. Stranger Things creators to helm live action Death Note series. Netflix,
No,
how many times do we have to
just
teach you
no.
this lesson, old man? Stop it.
Yeah. And the rees ensue. Now, yeah, live action adaptations are rarely good. I thought this was kind of interesting a little bit, though. The people they've chosen to do this, though, I mean, just for curiosity's sake, let's take a look.
Mm,
Upside Down Pictures, the guys who do Stranger Things, are working on this, and they're going to be taking those and breaking them over. One of the guys that's involved has done Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and the Ozarks. I haven't seen a lot of that stuff, but it's not bad. So
Sorry, the Hollow Comics over here. Mothra? Why did you say that name?
yeah,
I love it.
um, but these guys are actually these Stranger Thing guys are tapped for several things I thought was more interesting. The Death Note, the first season of Stranger Things for me was eh. The next two people seem were less. The fourth one people seem to be enjoying. So I mean they seem capable. But
Sure.
maybe Death Note would be fun. But look at all the stuff they're working on. Death Note series, these same guys, the Stranger Things and their company Upside Down Films, right? A new series, The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance. Okay, all right. A Stephen King and Peter Straub 1984 novel, The Talisman. Interesting. A stage play, Don't Give a Shit, and finally a live action Stranger Things spinoff. Why did you need live action in there? Just a Stranger Things spinoff. Um,
Yeah, that's
uh,
weird.
and that might give them a little freedom to do some other things as well. Those dudes are busy,
Busy boys.
which is good. It's good. Just keep your focus is all I would say. But as far as the headline is concerned, do we really want a Death Note series?
No,
Not from Netflix.
no, no. The only I'm gonna a surprise. I'm gonna disagree with Ben. He says over here in the chat that Death Note always sucked. I agree and I disagree. I agree that the ending of Death Note sucks. The second half of it is terrible. First half of it is awesome, phenomenal. But then they do this weird kill off the main antagonist, and then a new one comes in, and he's basically the exact same guy, except with a different name, and it just falls apart. But the first half of it is fantastic. But no, I don't want Netflix anywhere near anything related to anime when it comes to live action adaptations,
Yeah.
especially live action adaptations of anime typically don't work. I'm trying to think of one that does, but I can't.
Well, they
It's
have a
just it's a different medium.
Well, and they
It's a
have a bad
different medium.
track record in all honesty with
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
Although
And
some of the
and
anime that they've funded is okay.
yeah, some of their anime is not bad, but their adaptations of it is just even they made an adaptation or they brought it over here of Death Note, and it wasn't great. It just wasn't great at all. It's not.
No.
I don't know if I'll give them this. This is as much as I'll give them. Of all the ones that you could do it of, Death Note is the one that you're most likely to succeed at because it's much less of a battle style anime or manga and much more of a mental game.
Psychological, yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just saw that and I was like, wow, those guys are busy doing a lot of stuff. But I'm kind of with Ben on this. Because I did see my kids, watching some of the Death Note stuff, and I think the premise is interesting, but I didn't think it was that great either, personally. But it's coming anyway, because those Stranger Things guys, they can write their own ticket right now, I would say. Anyway, are you there, Grimlock? No,
Yes, sir, I am.
you are. Thundera disappeared.
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's move on to the next one here. This is funny.
Oh, Lord.
You can go ahead and read it, Grimlock.
I'll read it. Hang on. Announced Star Wars writer, oh god, and director Taika Waititi claims he forgot about prequel films starring Natalie Portman. Can we please, as
Sure
a
he did.
society, stop with Taika? He's not any good. He's only good at really small, like comedic things. He's not some visionary. I don't understand why Hollywood gets this bug up their ass every so many years where they have a director or an actor that they just become obsessed with and they give them everything. And
Yeah.
it's almost always a failure in the end. It's not
Yeah.
the guys who stay movie stars and stay at the top of that list are dudes who are plugging away, but they're not typically just throwing everything. Right? They just
Yeah.
here give them this to do and put them in this. That's just not what they do.
They did used to be more cautious than they are. Steven Spielberg is a good example. He made hit after hit after hit, and they still gave him shit. You know how long it took for him to get full carte blanche? A very,
Oh yeah.
very decades, right?
Yeah.
And their tendency to say, "Oh, you made something successful. Here you go. Here's 10 films. Here's $1 billion. Go or more. Go at it." It's silly. Taika is good at making little things. that are
Yes.
weird, funny, goofy things because he's a goofball. He's a goofball,
Yes.
right? And he's good at that. Now, like with Love and Thunder here, if you liked Ragnarok, then there's going to be some parts of Love and Thunder that you like. But all the people I've seen, they're saying it's not as good as Ragnarok. But if you like Ragnarok, you'll probably like some of it. I hated Ragnarok. It was fucking
Yes.
awful. It's a goddamn clown cartoon show. And this is more of that. That's what the dude does. That's what he does. And him, and I agree, Grimlock, him forgetting that Natalie Portman was in Star Wars is bullshit. It's bullshit. It's
Yeah.
just more dribble coming out of his mouth because this guy is so full of shit. If you ever listen to
Yep.
him do an interview, he's full of it, right? Full of himself. But here's the real reason I put this up here. Nothing to do with Natalie Portman. It's probably not going to happen, but they want him to do a Star Wars movie. Just imagine this clown making
You
a
know,
Star Wars movie.
I'm kind of with them, I'm so sick of guys who are just good at doing one thing being seen as these kind of people who should be given the keys to certain things. And when I'm saying good at one thing, it's like, oh, we got this guy Michael Bay. He's really good at special effects. Let's make him a director.
Oh my god, dude.
Oh, we got
Oh my God.
Chloe Zhang. She's a really good cinematographer. Let's make her a director.
J.J.
Oh,
Abrams.
we got Taika Waititi. Oh yeah, J.J. Abrams, another great cinematographer who makes good-looking movies you'll never watch more than once.
Yeah.
Fucking Taika, he is the guy who told one funny joke at an office party like 3 years ago, and the faggot hasn't stopped telling that same joke.
Well, I don't think
It's like
he's gay.
that.
He's actually banging two women at the same time. So,
I don't care. He's still an
Rock on, brother.
insufferable faggot. It has
Okay,
nothing to
fine.
do with him being gay.
Okay, fine.
Cause,
No, that's fair. It doesn't. I know what you mean. It doesn't. That's true. But
I mean,
but to be fair though, I wouldn't put him in the same category because he can tell a story. It's just goofy stories.
no, I think that he got a lot of credit because he did small productions where the bar is set significantly lower, and nobody probably paid attention to when you have small productions. Nobody knows who the writers are or the directors or the producers. So the guy at the top looks like he's doing a lot more than he is. That guy's got one good thing that he's ever done that I think is even entertaining, and it's What We Do in the Shadows. And the more I see of this guy, makes me wonder how much of that had to do with him and had to do with the people around him.
Well, I like Jojo Rabbit as well. But I mean, my point is he's good at those little goofy, weird indie films. I personally think he's good at those things. He's just
Yeah.
not good at these big budget mainstream AAA things. He's just not.
No.
He makes cartoons, and that's not what I want. Ben, that's what I meant, dude. The Stranger Thing guys, their season 4 has been a mega hit. Stranger Things has made a lot of money for them. Those guys can write their own ticket. That's what I meant. Yeah. They've been very successful. But who would give this guy a Star Wars movie, dude? It
The
just
same
doesn't
people that
make
gave him
sense.
Thor movies.
Well, the same people who gave Rian Johnson the ability to get anywhere near that franchise and murder it forever.
Yeah, no fair. But I mean, I would if you let him make Josie and the Pussycats, I'd probably watch that or
Now
Jabberjaw.
he could. I'm going to be completely
No.
fair with him. If he had a small budget Star Wars movie, meaning it was something like it wasn't had anything to do with Jedi or the Force or big galactic events. It was on one planet in one city, maybe Nar Shaddaa, the moon planet, or the city moon, and it was about like seedy backroom bounty hunter type of stuff. He could probably make that, and it might be good because he could put some of his humor in there and stuff because it would be a lot less serious tone. If you try and give him like 3 episodes or something, right? You give him a whole new saga to start off or to run with, it's going to be an absolute shit show from beginning to end because he
What-
doesn't do that. That's just not what he's good
That's
at.
what I
Small
mean.
scale,
I
he can probably do a small scale
yeah,
story.
I think he's good at certain things. That's what my point is, and I understand that, Ben. I get that. But I hated Ragnarok, dude. That was an awful movie,
I-
dude.
I'm not surprised that Ben's defending that pile of shit because he's already made it clear that Kevin Feige could put a plate of hot shit in front of him and he'll go, well, it's not what I was looking for, but I did find it interesting that he went in another direction.
Well, I think he's
You're-
making the
you're- he-
point that it
no,
made
no,
a lot of
but-
money, therefore a lot of people like
yeah,
it.
but
I
that
think that's
doesn't
the
mean
point he's
that
making.
doesn't mean it's fucking good. Nicki Minaj makes a lot of money. She's never been good.
That's fair.
That's a good point.
That's not a freaking
Although
beginning.
she does like her anacondas for some reason. It's a pretty dangerous thing.
Again,
I don't know what you're doing, lady. But
Yeah, but again, it's okay. It made money, so a lot of stupid fucking people went to see it.
yeah, I get his
Fine.
point though. I just really, really didn't like it. I think this guy's really good in the right setting. And like I said, Thor: Love and Thunder, all the critics, are either they like it's fine or it's really bad because it's him let loose and it's radically more goofy than Ragnarok.
It's everything you hate about Ragnarok turned to 11.
Yeah, and my
From
God, dude.
From everything I've seen, and I honestly pity the people who actually paid money for that. Even Ben, I pity that you actually took hard-earned wages to spend on that because
especially when Top Gun Maverick's sitting right there and it's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
I
now
watched it again
to be
today.
fair,
I don't give.
There are some
I know
things
you
in
hate
the
Tom
movie.
Cruise.
Yeah, but there are some things in the movie that I think are fine. Like for instance, I never cared for it in the comic book, but the whole Jane Foster thing with her and cancer and finally dying. Spoilers. Okay, fine. But there's very few fine points it seems with it. Mostly it's kind of a train wreck. It sounds like. But I don't know, dude. But then again, Lady Thor is just kind of dumb. But they should have just used Sith. And she's in the movie, from what I understand. But
So is doing Gore and then not calling him God Butcher. Why? That's a great name. Why
They
can't
called
he
him
be
the God Butcher. They called him the God Butcher like 20 fucking times. What are you
Well, they
talking
did.
about?
Okay, good. Well, because in all the stuff I've seen, they call him the God Killer. In all of the the
They're idiots.
press that I've seen.
They're idiots. I watched the
Okay.
film. They
Good.
use that like 20 times. Whoever said that
Good.
is they're a fucking moron.
So you have seen it, good, because I haven't seen it.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I heard that Christian Bale was way too good for that movie.
Well, yeah, probably Christian Bale.
I mean, his
No,
his performance was stellar. People said, yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I really enjoyed the film is because one of the biggest problems with Marvel movies is their villains. That oftentimes they're just a clone of the hero and they don't do any character building. And they actually did really good character building. You have a clear, empathetic understanding for why he's doing what he's doing. They make it make sense. Like you kind of side with them. Like you're sitting there like, yeah, the gods are kind of assholes. Like some of them actually do kind of deserve to die, right? And, spoilers, he kind of wins at the end, right? Like he kind of accomplishes what he ultimately what he really wants to accomplish, right? Not the. Anyways, it was the problem with the film is that there are some wild tonal shifts because anything that involves the God Butcher is kind of terrifying. Like it's really dark,
It should be
grim,
Yeah.
right? But then anything we come to with Thor, it gets goofy. It gets pretty goofy. You're right. They do dial it up to 11. And it, I mean, that is a problem. That is a tonal shift problem. But the thing is it's kind of a fun film, and that's I think what's going to keep a lot of people going.
And
to
I
it,
think
right?
that's why
And-
people got off of Ragnarok too. I just really hate Thor being presented that way, but I love Thor. And I do also do not appreciate, Ben, that you let me sit here and get bloodied about the face and shoulders, and then when you deign it's rightful, come in and help me out.
Hey, Grimlock said some dumb shit, and I had to come in here and defend myself. If you're going to say dumb fuck stuff, I'm going to come in here and defend myself.
So you don't care about me at all.
Okay. All right. Hey, no, put it out on the line. Come on.
Come
Because
on,
I'm a
just
dumb
did,
fuck
dude.
now. Come on.
no.
Come on with it.
You said I will eat whatever shit Kevin Feige puts in front of me. So if you're gonna
Yep,
say
and you'll say
if
it's
you're gonna
interesting.
say if you're gonna say
You'll say
dumb
it's
fuck
interesting.
stuff, you're casting the summon Ben spell,
Yes.
and
I have to
I
ask.
will appear.
And if he
I have
puts
to ask,
spinach in
Ben.
front of Ben, he won't eat that.
No, spinach is
No,
good.
it ain't, it's not dumb fuck because you've defended hot garbage. It's like you'll sit there and go, well, it wasn't what I'm looking for, but it was interesting.
Chris
How
is
is bad
jacked,
interesting?
though. Look at that. Damn it, Jack, Chris.
No, because things they're not like binary, dude. Like, so first of all, I don't like every Marvel film. I think there is like plenty, like Dark World I really did not like, right?
Nah, that
And
was not good.
Yeah, I agree with
I-
that. Dark World was terrible, but Ragnarok
Right.
was worse.
oh, nah, I don't agree with that.
Yes,
I don't agree with
no,
that.
it was two serious stories turned into a movie. It's like no,
Can
why would anybody who's even remotely familiar with either one of those stories want to see that kind of
Let-
goofiness, knowing what that is?
let me clarify? All the Thor movies suck balls.
Well, now you triggered me because Infinity War is awesome, and that's a Thor movie.
That's okay, fine. I'll give you that one. That's the best movie they made.
Ah!
But I'm talking
Got
about the
'em.
actual title.
Pedantically
Thor movies are
correct, Sarah.
not good, dude. They're not. The first one is probably the worst. So I
No.
would say out of the
Dark
three
World is
I've
by
seen,
far the worst.
Ragnarok probably is the better one. But I just do not like their take on Thor at all.
The first one gives me motion sickness. Kenneth
Dude, it's
Branagh has like a
horrible, dude.
weird obsession with Dutch angles that just makes that film
But
hard
it's
to watch.
so stilted. It's oh my god, that movie sucks, dude. Dark World sucks. So in that vein,
Well, that
Ragnarok is better. It
Well,
sucks.
And that also
For
goes
other
back to what I
reasons.
said before. That's what you get when you hire a bunch of fucking cinematographers and make them directors.
Yeah, well,
no,
that's a problem
that-
these days, isn't it?
that's not directing. That's camera angles, and there's a time and a place for that shit.
Yeah, but no, Grimlock, you said yourself that What We Do in the Dark was good.
Doing the shadows, yeah,
Shadows.
that's the
Yeah, What We Do
one
in the
thing
Shadows,
he's done that I like, and it's one of those things where the more I see of this guy, I wonder how much of that is him and how much of that's the writing team.
Well, see, Jojo
Because
Rabbit was good too.
You've seen what I've
Jojo
seen
Rabbit
what
was
he's
good.
done left his own devices.
I enjoyed Jojo Rabbit. I enjoyed like what was it, Into the Wilds or something like
The
that. one with Sam
Wildebeest or
Neill.
something like
The
that.
Wildebeest. Yeah. That was really good. I really enjoyed Our Flag Means Death. I know it's not something you guys would enjoy, but I thought that was actually a really fun film, or a fun series on HBO Max. I would disagree. I think that to your point, saying that he's better with like small things, like small
think
contained
so.
stuff. I'm not going to argue against that. I think that there is a point to be made for that, and he does really good jobs when it is a little small thing, right? I didn't hate Thor Ragnarok. I'm not going to say it was the greatest out of all the Thor films, and I can totally see why you guys hate it because you have very much a sacred cow thing about Thor, right?
Yeah, no, that's
I don't
true.
hate it. I don't
Thor.
hate Ragnarok. I
Yeah.
just hate all the goofiness in Ragnarok. It's too much. You dial that back 20%, Ragnarok's a good film.
No,
Okay.
It's just too much.
Thor is a
goofiness.
sacred cow to me. You're right.
Right. I'm
Well,
saying that
Thor's not a sacred cow to me, but I do like seeing adaptations somewhat accurate. I don't want to.
Yep.
I don't want to see something that was supposed to be serious turned into complete goofiness, and that's his shtick, and that's fine for his shit. But for something else, for an adaptation, I don't want to see that shit. And the
Yeah.
more you bring of it, it's like Michael Bay.
So-
Michael Bay's another one. He in the same vein of Taika. No, I would rather put my genitals in a running wood chipper than to ever see another Michael Bay Transformers movie.
Yeah, no, they are bad. But I think you are missing the point of what I had brought up about the topic, though. It's not his fault that Disney has given him 2 AAA movies to work on. He just did what
Yeah, I know.
he was allowed to do. I don't like
Why
them,
don't give him
but whatever. My point that I was trying to make, Grimlock, is who in the hell thought it was a good idea to give him Star Wars?
the same people who thought it was a good idea to give him Thor.
well, the problem with
Literally,
Star Wars
the same
when
company.
you well, I mean, when you're talking about the film portion of Star Wars, they're doing a lot of soul searching right now, right? Disney Plus series of Star Wars, they have their who is it? Dave Filoni and that group that's running that. So they kind of have that whole thing on lockdown. They have their like plot czar and working with Jon Favreau. But the problem is that film version of Star Wars, they don't know what they're doing, right? And I think they're looking, I didn't like the what was it? The Colin Trevorrow one was that the one I'm thinking of? What was the one? No, Rain Johnson. That one was awful, right? That one was just completely.
Jedi.
Insanely stupid. Yeah.
It was insanely stupid, right?
When I watched that in the theater with my wife, she yelled at the screen.
I think we all did.
I like you.
I think we all did.
She
Right.
said, "What?"
Yeah.
It was.
I refused to watch it because I saw the spoilers and I said, "Oh, I'm not giving Disney money for that." No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
but that's kind of problem, right? Is that we had a very unfulfilling end to that final trilogy, and I think there's a lot of debate to be had on which was worse, the prequels or the last three films, right? I think.
Well,
man, I don't know.
It's apples and oranges, though, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah. It's tough.
I will stand by it until my dying breath that of the episodic Star Wars, that what they're calling the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
The best movie is Empire, and then the second best movie is Revenge of the Sith. I stand by it. I think it is. I think there's some bad acting in there a little bit, and there's parts that are over the top, but storyline, it's one of the best stories he ever wrote for Star Wars. It's actually a story with an arc, especially for Anakin. It's just a dark one. It's just there's a lot of problems with Lucas's directing, especially at the time, because nobody wanted to tell him no.
Right.
And I think if you give that to a competent director, a better director, Lucas is a competent director, but a better director that doesn't have his head up his own ass, that would have probably been almost as good as Empire, because he had the right pieces in place. He just botched it.
The funny thing is Lucas is exactly what you guys are complaining about, right? He's really good at like cinematography, but he's terrible at everything else. He doesn't know how to.
That's 100% true. Yeah.
He doesn't know how to do like characters or emotions or feelings or anything like that, or capture those things. He knows how to frame a shot. Right. I mean, have you ever watched the behind the scenes as he's like trying to like give like direction points? It's just
He's
awful.
like a robot.
It's awkward to watch.
I in my mind, it's a hippopotamus directing a ballet.
Right. No, I mean that's fair. No, and so you know what, Thundero, I will actually agree with you like that, and that kind of goes back to like the commentary on Ragnarok, right? Like there is a good film to be had there if you tweak out 20% of the nonsense in Revenge of the Sith, right?
I agree.
And so I guess in that same vein, and this goes back to my fight with Grimlock, right? I think there is a good film in Ragnarok, right? Sure, it's a little bit bloated on the goofiness, but I can see beyond that to see there is a good film here, and there is fun to be had with it. Is it perfect? Absolutely
we did
not.
see that good film. That good film was Infinity War. That was a much better version of Thor from beginning to end. He even did a little. There was still a little bit of slapstick comedy, and there was still, there was still a little bit of out of character for what comic Thor. But overall, that is by far the best adaptation of Thor we've seen in the live action.
I think that's because the Russo brothers are like the best of what all these guys want to be, right? Like they're what I mean. They are extraordinarily competent directors, right? When we talk about the capability of like directors, right? And I know we fight about Endgame. I will still say that I think Endgame was better than Infinity Wars, but we can have. Let's have this conversation some other time. Let's have no. We're gonna go off the rails.
No,
dude.
Endgame was an absolute train wreck,
dude.
But
remember, I'm the dumb fucking. He just did that.
Yeah, I know, dude. Okay, but beyond that, what I would say with the sticking to the Thor movies here,
sure.
One of the things, because Ragnarok in this new film, we have Waititi on it, right? And the one of the problems is because he likes making jokes and goofing, and it's his style, and that's fine. You should put him in, and that's what Disney wanted. They wanted, hey, let's lighten up this character because it's not doing well, and let's make it more comedic. Okay, fine. That was the decision made at the top, and he's not necessarily the wrong choice for that thinking. Okay. But here's the problem. They're constantly under Waititi's Thor mocking him. He's
Yes.
a constant butt of the joke. And to be fair, it isn't like it's this big feminist thing mocking the man, which you might think with Tessa Thompson in it. It's not what's going on. They're not even part of that. It's just the existence of Thor is a living meme from his point of view. And this is what irritates the shit out of me, Ben. That's the core issue for me.
We've had this conversation, and I totally understand it and appreciate your perspective. I actually don't think it's as much his problem. I think part of it is Hemsworth's responsibility.
Maybe
that he likes to do this kind of goofier interpretation, and he likes to kind of do this sort of ad-libbing improv type shtick. We've seen that from him before in other films that he likes to do.
Yep.
So I
Fine.
think a portion of it is also from the way, because Hemsworth is actually talking about, like, back in the day, like, wanting to back out of Thor. He was not having fun with it anymore. And I've heard interviews with him where he's like, part of the reason why he came back was working with, or kept going with it was, Taika coming and working with him on a, sort of a reinvigoration of the interpretation. So I see what you're saying. I don't necessarily disagree with it. I'm just saying that I don't think it's all Taika's fault. I think it's an amalgamation of the two and how they sort of rebranded the character in some form or fashion.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I am fine
with
with
that. People who are not funny just doing a bunch of yuck jokes for 2 movies straight.
Here's my question I have for my boy Ben here. He's seen the movie. Is there any reference at all to Marvel's greatest written character, Beta Ray Bill, in this movie?
There's so much stuff that flies by that there very well could have been, but not that I could immediately, because I was just like, there was a couple things that I was really caught off guard with. One that I thought was absolutely amazing, and one that I was like really disappointed by from like a spoilers perspective. So, are you guys gonna watch the film?
No.
It sounds like you're not interested.
Only if somebody pays me to. And
so they bring in Eternity, and my God, watching Eternity they portrayed Eternity perfectly. Like, it looked amazing to like look at the representation they had of Eternity. Like, you could easily get lost just looking at Eternity, like looking at it on the big screen, like, and like the living space, and it just kind of like goes on forever and like shifts and stuff. That was really cool. I was like, my wife was like, "What are you doing?" I'm just like staring there, gawking, like, "Oh my God, they did Eternity! Holy crap!"
That's cool.
And it looked beautiful. Then I was really wondering, like, because Zeus is in the film and stuff like that. I was like, are they going to bring in my boy Herc? And there's a cameo at the end of Herc, and I was less than impressed by it. I mean, again, I can't judge because it was like on the screen for like 2 seconds, right? But if that's the dude they're going to play having play Hercules, I don't see, like, I don't know. I forget the guy's name. He's from like Ted Lasso. Dude who plays Hercules. What's this guy?
I'm actually kind of glad there's no reference to Beta Ray Bill, because I don't want Taika Waititi anywhere near that character. He's too good. He's a better character than Thor, and he'll fuck him up horribly.
Well, so, because we don't know what's happening on the ground, right? And Ben may have a good point here. Taika might be the type of director that lets his actors go, right? That doesn't rein them. Because, to be fair, when we see Chris Hemsworth in a movie with a very controlling director, he's better. Right?
Yeah, he dials it in. He dials it in.
So that could be the issue. It could be Taika simply is more of a hands-off director, and Chris Hemsworth thinks he's funny, and he's not. There could be some of that going on too, because in my opinion, outside of some of his, when he's in the team stuff, I think he's a good piece of the background. And in Infinity War, he was certainly up front and was much better. But when he's in a lead role, like in the Thor movies or in that hacker movie, he just ain't all that, dude.
I mean, like, to my point, look at how he plays in Infinity War versus this, right? The Russo brothers dial him in a lot tighter, the way you like him, right?
Yeah.
Whereas
He was better.
you know, right, and that kind of goes to my point is that I think this is a portion of Hemsworth and a portion of Taika, how they kind of reinvented this character, right? And whatever that means, obviously you guys don't like it, that's fine, but it resonated with enough people though, right? Is the
Right.
problem?
No, I
Because
understand. Yeah.
yeah, because Thor was one of those awkward things for them because it wasn't making as much as their other like tentpole characters like Captain America and Iron Man, right? And so they kind of swung for the fences with Taika. They were trying something vastly different. And when you make 850 million on your first outing on like a Marvel movie like that, they're going to invest heavily in you,
Yeah.
right?
And it's not like Thor is a sacred cow to me. I guess I'm the only one, but so it's a separate issue, I suppose. But who's that Troma guy who did the Guardians of the Galaxy again? What's his name again?
James Gunn.
James Gunn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, James Gunn is a goofball as well, right? And the Guardians of the Galaxy is definitely a comedic movie, right? When it and dramatic when it needs to be. But the thing is, James Gunn is funnier.
Yeah, I agree. He actually is funny, genuinely.
I mean,
Um,
because Guardians of the Galaxy is in the same vein as Ragnarok, and that's probably why they shifted that way.
Right.
And I guess it probably would have been better had James do it. It probably would have came out better. But because I absolutely adore Guardians of the Galaxies, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy, and those are not serious films, and I love them. But I do not like the Ragnarok, and I'm not going to watch this nonsense. Although it does sound like they did a pretty good job with some things. But then again, you can say that for every Disney movie. I think there's got to be good
Sure.
parts to it, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing that kind of sucks. So they did God Butcher, done. They did Jane Foster, spoilers, she's done. What are they doing next? Like, where do they go with? Is this because I watched
I
Andrew
mean-
Hemsworth said he'll keep making Thor movies.
the girl, I
you
would
know,
assume,
till they
dude.
won't have
No,
them.
that's what they set up with the end stinger, right?
Yeah, the girl.
No, Hercules.
Oh God, I don't want them to do Hercules, dude. I don't want them to do Hercules. They're gonna fuck
It's
that
gonna
up
be bad.
bad, dude.
Just like I don't
Yeah,
want Beta Ray Bill. No, please, no.
No,
Please.
please don't
But-
touch Beta Ray. Yeah.
But that was the so basically in the movie, Hercules is like, "Hey Zeus, I need your help," and Zeus is like, "Yeah, I don't give a real shit," right? And they get into a fight. Hercules, he doesn't beat up Zeus, but he like steals his thunderbolt. And so one of the end stinger is like Zeus is like all pissed off, and he's like, "My son, go show Thor some humility." And that's when Brett Goldstein, the guy from Ted Lasso, he stands up and he's got the big club and he's got the the head bracer on. And he's like, "I'll do it, father." And part of my problem is like I just like again it was a 2-second clip, so it's hard to like judge. He didn't seem that impressive, and that actor's like 5'11", and freaking Hemsworth is like 6'3" or something like that. Like I can't really believe he's going to be like. It would be hard for me to believe any. Like I was really hoping they'd bring in like Joe Magnano, who's like 6'5". Like I could totally believe like him scoring up against like Hemsworth or something like that.
Well,
right?
and also, of course, this is the MCU, not Marvel Comics. But in Marvel, they have very clearly over the decades, the Asgardians are simply more powerful than the rest of the gods. And so you kind of have that issue, but I don't want to see that because I didn't know about that little stinger you talking about at the end because when he takes the spoilers, when he takes the God Butcher's daughter, which it sounds like at least they had a logical conclusion because Thor was like, yeah, why don't you just wish for your daughter back? Okay,
right.
There you go.
Which
same thing with
like,
Thanos,
it's
right?
Kind of like the yeah, right. How did that never occurred to him?
Yeah.
He never just. I'm going to go to this place where I can wish for anything.
No. They kind of address that because he's like tainted by the sword, right? The sword is like fucking with him and like messing with him, right? And so when he does that,
so it's Frostbringer or Frostborn. Got it.
Right, but by that point when he makes a recommendation, they've destroyed the sword, right? So he's kind of like cleansed of the corruption.
Oh, okay.
And so
fuck, it is Frostborn. He just ripped this story right out of fucking Right out of Warcraft is what he did. Holy shit. Okay. All right. That's literally what happens to Arthas as the Lich
So
King.
you don't think
Is
they're
the
going to do
sword
anything?
corrupt?
You don't think they're going to do anything with the girl, though?
I mean, they might. They might. I don't know to what degree, though. They could. They could certainly do something fun with that. But like the stinger. So, and the reason I say they're going to do something with Hercules is because Taika said specifically, like, that wasn't in my original intentions. Kevin asked me to do that. Kevin's got some plans apparently, and so I filmed that scene per Kevin's request, right? And so they very explicitly say in that, like, Zeus wants revenge on Thor for embarrassing him. He's sending his son after him. So the daughter could still be involved in some form or fashion. To what degree, I have no clue. But at that stinger, it was the intention was very explicit. Zeus is sending his son Hercules after Thor because he embarrassed him in the yeah. So that's why I'm saying that he's going to be involved in some form or fashion.
Yeah, but
As an antagonist that becomes a protagonist.
to be fair, though, the MCU needs to move on to new characters and new stories.
Oh, absolutely.
But,
Yeah.
absolutely. But the reason I asked
Yeah.
that was because you remember that animated series that came out a long, long time ago. It's kind of a future setting where it's the sons and daughters, the superheroes, and Thor and Sif's daughter
Yeah, I remember that.
takes up the sword. I thought
Yeah.
that would be a cool way to do a female Asgardian, yeah, Thor-esque, one.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, no,
Disrespect this thing. Just horrible.
well, yeah, no, I understand because I don't like it either. But I don't want to. At the same time, I don't want to sit here. I don't really like Taika as a person. He seems pretty awful, to be fair.
Mm.
But as far as his talent, his skill, I'm not going to sit here and just like I won't take away from Gail Simone in comic book conversations, even though you guys want me to. I'm not going to take away his talent because he does have talent. This guy does have ability. He's not J.J. Abrams. He's not. He's not even
I would
George
completely
Lucas.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I would
don't.
completely agree with that.
Yeah, I don't like these things. Other things I do like. I don't like him because I like he. This is one of those. You know what he is? He's a goofy.
douchebag.
He's a goofy pothead or crackhead or whatever the drugs he does that goes around and loves
Probably
the
both.
swinger lifestyle. That's what he is. He and his wife are always bringing other women into to fuck, and they're just. I don't like these kind of people. I just don't like them. However, I'm
don't
not going
vibe
to
with
take
him.
away his talent. I don't think
Mm.
that's right.
Sounds like he's just living his best life.
Oh God.
He's a oh
I
god
hate that
that
term.
phrase. He is fairly talented when he's in his lane. The problem is Disney keeps taking him out of his lane,
Yeah,
and
that's Disney's
I
fault
don't
though.
know. We'll see. We'll see what if it continues. I mean, so far he's been
You
successful.
guys say
Love
that,
and
but he's
Thunder.
making them so much money.
Love and Thunder. I literally
No,
was.
you're right.
If you would let me finish
You-
my fucking sentence,
Okay.
that's what I was about to say.
All right.
They
all
both
right.
made a lot of money, so
Sure.
somebody must like it. I just don't.
Yeah.
It's not. Sometimes things just aren't for you. Now I'll tell you. I'm going to say
That's
it again.
true.
A movie that is for me is fucking Top Gun Maverick. I'm telling you, Chester, you need to go see that movie. You will
Well,
love
it's
it.
not
You will
available for
absolutely
me
love it.
yet.
It's not there. How's it not there
Well,
yet?
And Top Gun Maverick was a very good film. And luckily these films come out time to time that I know you guys love, right? So I'm guessing Thundero, you really enjoyed the Mad Max Fury Road, right?
No, I hated Mad
No, I
Max Fury
hated that
Road
movie,
because it
dude.
wasn't a Mad Max
No.
movie. It was a
Oh
Furiosa
my
movie with a
gooses.
Mad Max
Really?
cameo.
No,
Yeah.
it was
Okay.
beautiful.
Everything I like about
All right.
Maverick, Fury Road does the opposite. So
Yeah.
All right.
the reason
All
why
right.
I like Maverick so much, one, it's got a fairly good story, but two, it takes the protagonist from the original film seriously. He's the main character. It's his movie, and there's other stories around him, but it's still him in Rooster's story, right? Fury Road's the opposite. You could take Mad Max out of that movie, and you could just make that movie, and it would
Yeah,
be fine.
it-
He's just
it's-
stapled on.
It's
That's why I
even
don't like
deeper than that, dude. I mean, it's a gorgeous movie, but
it. It is fantastically
Theron,
look fantastic.
I
cinematography.
was radically disappointed because that's a solid actress right there.
She
That's
can
a
act.
solid
Yep.
actress. And even though she's been doing a lot of stuff recently, I do not like. But she is very capable at what she does. And that character she played in Fury Road sucked, dude. It sucked. And the worse than that was another actor who can absolutely dominate in character portrayals with Tom Hardy. I mean, if you go look at some serious, like Peaky Blinders and some of his serious acting roles, that guy is no joke. He was worse. Oh my God, it was so bad, dude. It was beautiful, but the acting from those two was horrible, dude.
And I like the fact that they use practical effects. I like everything about that.
Yeah.
But one of the only cool things that I'm trying to remember, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I remember this bugging me. One of the only really cool things that Max does is off screen, where he goes away from the little convoy and goes and fucks up a whole bunch of people behind him, and you don't even get to see it.
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
No,
Why?
The best character in that was Toe Cutter, which I guess he had a different name in this movie, and the little tweaker guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, though they were pretty good. Yeah, but no, and it was gorgeous though. All the practical stuff was awesome. But I'm sorry, Ben.
No, it's okay.
I wanted to like it. I love Mad Max, but I just
everyone's entitled to their opinions, especially when they're wrong. They're entitled to their opinions.
Fair enough. Well, I didn't know this was going to be that contentious, and they refused to stay on topic, by the way, just so everyone listening. I tried. All right, but moving on, all right?
Do we ever stay on topic?
No. Go ahead.
Invisible Man director Leigh Whannell in line to direct new Green Hornet movie. Universal Pictures wants to fast track it.
Okay.
Do we need another Green Hornet movie?
I mean, they're not going to get any better than the Seth Rogen film. That was just perfection.
Oh, you just
guy.
know exactly where to touch, sir. You know exactly where to touch. Yes, this movie was. You know what? I will say it's mediocre. It's not.
It's a movie.
Bad.
Yeah, it exists.
It wasn't great though, and a lot of that comes down to Seth Rogen. But
here's the problem. I'm gonna lay it out real simple. The reason why a new Green Hornet doesn't work is because there's no Bruce Lee. That's it. He's the reason the original one works, because he was such a star. He just pulled you in.
Yeah,
they don't have that right now.
I'm not sure why they keep want to go back to it anyway. There are better things to do, but they're doing it, and they're fast tracking this shit. Now, Leigh Whannell, on the other hand, is interesting, and I think that's the only reason why it's worth talking about, because this guy, as it says right here, he's of course coming from the Saw series, which has some good installments. Upgrade, which I love that movie. That is a fun movie, dude. Upgrade. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Yeah.
And this shook me a little bit. 2020's wildly successful Invisible Man reboot. How exactly? Now, who is writing this? Hold on a second. Oh, this is from Deadline. Okay. What is the definition of wildly successful to you? This
I didn't even know there was one.
Well, this movie is above average in rating. I haven't seen it yet, and it basically made its money back. How is that wildly successful?
Who's in that? I didn't even know this existed.
What do you mean it basically made its money back? It cost $7 million to make, and it made 143.
No, it made 28.
No.
How did I not know this existed?
Hold on. I'm literally posting the Box Office Mojo on it.
Please.
It made 70 million domestically and 72 million internationally.
I checked it before, and it said 28 million domestic.
You said the 28 million is the domestic opening. That is not the total. That is what it made its first week.
Oh, okay. All right. So it did make some money, but I still wouldn't use the word wildly. But it doesn't matter. I like this. My point is, I do like this guy. It just kind of hit me this adjective here, but I do like what this guy does in general, is what I'm trying to say, and that made me second think my initial reaction when I saw the headline, which was like, why? But I kind of like what this guy does, therefore maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like Green Hornet is an older hero for an older era that just doesn't scale well, or doesn't, like, I don't know. They'd have to do something radically different or something, because it does not feel like Batman has had a lot of like writers over the years to kind of refresh him. He's definitely not the same character as he was back during the Green Hornet time, right? But Green Hornet hasn't benefited from that, right? And so I don't know. I just don't feel it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Until I saw the guy that was involved, and I was like, I kind of like his stuff. Although I would rather see him take on another golden age, something that is more leaning toward the horror, maybe something like The Shadow, right?
I'll agree with that. I think The Shadow could be done for this day and age. I think that's one that
You
could scale.
and
Yeah.
and I think he might be a good choice. The
Yeah.
problem with the Green Hornet is it doesn't carry any of that feel, right?
Yeah.
Now, are they going to try to
Well,
re-genre
So,
it?
it also
also,
doesn't have Bruce
as
Lee.
you just,
That's
well,
true.
I was going to say, also, as you just said, you need somebody talented to do that, and Hollywood don't have that.
Yeah, you
What are you
need
going to do?
an
Cast
if
somebody like
the-
Taika?
Damn
Well,
it,
no.
all the hell! You guys are massively underselling the importance of Bruce Lee in this
No, I'm
franchise.
not, but I have
No,
Donnie
I'm
Yen
not
in my
underselling-
head.
I'm not
Completely
Donnie Yen is in my head.
forgotten. This would be complete. No, he's not big enough. It'd be completely forgotten as a franchise, as one of the endless series, dregs series that existed in the '60s, if Bruce Lee wasn't Kato.
It's true.
Simple
That
as
is
that.
true. He
It would
did
have
make
never
it.
had any reboots or anything. It would have just been a nothing throwaway series that nobody ever talks about, or even barely few people remember, except Bruce Lee was Kato, and he launched himself into superstardom because
Right. No, we
Well, and-
agree. We agree.
And I was kind of kidding about the Seth Rogen thing. Like, I'm not actually a fan of that film. I just like to tweak Chester.
that's good.
But like, what I did find was kind of fun about it is that they steered into that, where they made the Green Hornet kind of a loser, and it was really Kato doing
Yeah,
everything.
it was very Peter Sellers-esque, wasn't it? Yeah.
Right.
This guy.
But no, that goes
No,
to
not
your
you,
point.
not you.
Yeah.
Owl
but
Comics in the chat. Kato will now be played by Lizzo.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But that goes to Thundero's point that people like the Green Hornet for Kato, and so they
that's
made Kato like effectively the central character, right? The true hero of the thing. And I think that was, again, it's not a good film, but that was, I think, actually kind of a highlight of that film, that they addressed that, they acknowledged it, and they played to it, right? So.
Yeah, but I think we all agree. I don't think anyone's really chomping at the bit for a Green Hornet movie, but we're getting
No.
one.
Well,
I like the
yeah.
idea of Shadow. I like the idea of a neo-noir version of Shadow, set in like an alternate timeline that's where it's very noir, like almost cyberpunk.
Well,
Like, don't do a
it
period
should-
piece.
Yeah.
Go
it should-
forward with it.
Well, because
That
it
could be
has a
cool.
bit of a horror theme lean to it. Right?
Yeah.
And this
yeah.
guy
Well,
does that well. He does it well. I mean, look at the movies
And-
he's done. Saw, Upgrade. I haven't seen Invisible Man, but Upgrade and Saw, those are fun. And Upgrade is excellent.
Anybody still care about the Saw series? Cause
Well, the first couple weren't bad, dude.
Chris Rock did.
I'm saying
making
since
them.
the first two, like, does anybody really still care? Because
Well, no.
those are the kind.
Do you want to see?
Those are the kind of movies that people just mindlessly go to that every Halloween just because it's a supposed horror movie.
Hey.
Well, yeah, but are
Did-
you really interested in Friday the 13th 20?
My
No.
wife is.
I haven't. I stopped being
Fair
interested in Friday the 13th
Well, that's
15
who horror
movies
are
ago.
made for.
Yeah.
Did we
It's
ever
cool.
find out why Chris Rock got a bug up his butt to make a Saw movie? Like, that
I
was
have no
such
idea.
a weird
Spiral, yeah.
non sequitur.
Mm.
Yeah,
You
I don't know
know.
where that came from. Maybe he's just a huge Saw fan. He's just
Maybe.
like, all right, I'll
I
make
don't
it myself.
know. Like, when I
Maybe.
heard that announced, I was like, because obviously it was something he pursued, and it
Yeah.
was just weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
So-
They got very Midland
Maybe
reviews
he-
as well.
Maybe he thought, hey, Jordan Peele got away with making an overrated horror movie for being black, so could I.
Well, Jordan Peele, that's another example of what we talked about earlier. These people that have one success and then giving them too much access too quickly without any kind of constraint. The first movie he made that I know of was pretty good. The next one was not good. And then they let him do, what did they let him do? Twilight Zone? Was it Twilight Zone they let him do?
Yeah,
Shot
they let him do
Um,
Twilight Zone.
And it
could
was
have been shot in the
bad,
testicles. for that.
bad, really
Yeah.
bad.
Well, he's got
Really,
that
really
new
bad.
one coming out called Nope. I saw the trailer again for it, and it's about a black horse farmer, or rancher, or trainer, or something like that.
Yeah, I have no
And-
trouble with that. I don't care about him making black
Well, no, well,
movies.
but-
That's fine.
He makes it. That's because that's kind of his shtick, right? Everything's black centric. So he makes a big
Except for
thing
his
about
wife.
it. And it's a big deal.
Eh.
Yeah, makes a big deal about it, and then it turns into like this I want to say almost some kind of take on Close Encounters or something, but a much more horror version of it. It could be interesting because it seems much more bigger in scope than what he usually does. But I guess we'll see.
Are we?
But
Are we
I
gonna
don't.
take?
I'm not a big
Are,
fan of his movies either, personally. They just don't impress me that much.
are we gonna take bets on whether or not the aliens are racist?
Definitely. Yep.
Okay. All
That's
right.
probably where he's going.
You're betting with house money there.
Well, yeah, it's true. He does lean in that direction. But once again, if it's well done, it doesn't matter. His first movie there, which
True.
was what was it called?
Get out.
Get
Get
Out.
Out.
Get Out.
It's pretty
That was
solid
that was a
flick.
good movie. Yeah,
It is
that was
racist
a,
though. It is racist.
But again, it's
but
small
a good movie.
scope.
Yeah,
Right?
but it
When
was
you go
good.
into that
I-
bigger
so-
scope stuff,
You know,
it gets harder.
you know what I love about that movie. I absolutely love about that movie is when he put out that movie for like 10 years before when he was on Mad TV and Key and Peele. Black people just dismissed him as a dude who does white people comedy for white people, and then he does Get Out, and all of a sudden he becomes this great black figure in media. Like you
Well,
flip flopping
But-
bullshit ass niggas.
sure. But see, that's the thing, Grimlock.
And
That's the thing.
can't.
He is a guy who had success with a thing, and then he got way more access without the someone paying attention to him. Just
Well,
like
it's funny.
Lucas.
Well,
and the prequels.
Amy Schumer paid a lot of attention to him. She stole a lot of shit from him and Key.
Well, she
I'll
steals a
admit
lot.
that.
That's what she does. And she gets.
But
in
it's
trouble all
funny,
the time
Chester.
for it.
You mentioned earlier Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Arguably the greatest director of all time. But like you said, even he, with all of his success,
For
had
decades.
a leash on him for
Yeah.
a very long time
Yeah, decades.
because whoever was making movies at the time at least had a little bit more foresight and didn't let that happen.
Right. Because
So,
you do need
I
that
think-
oversight. You do need it. Yeah.
Yes, everybody needs it. Like these guys are artists at the end of the day. They need editors and they need somebody above them who can be like, hey,
Well-
and I don't mean like film editors. I mean somebody with like creative editing ability. But now that's stupid. Don't do that. They need somebody to push back against them when they have because sometimes they have crazy ideas that are just dumb that don't
They do.
work.
And Spielberg's a perfect example because when he did get
Yep.
carte blanche, he's made nothing but crap since.
Yes.
I mean,
That's-
it's just the
that's
reality of it. I love
Yep.
Spielberg movies, but he needs someone to kind of pull the reins on him a little bit.
Rein him
George
in.
Lucas
Yep.
needs it. I think all of them do. Now, I
Yes.
know this also brings up the argument of too many suits getting involved, and there's a balance to it, obviously.
Right.
But these directors need someone that is, really holding up those reins and making sure. And one of the reasons why, because it was, the MCU came over from Paramount initially, right? When Disney bought it. And then Disney started doing it. And Kevin Feige, I know there's a lot of hate toward Kevin, but I think overall he's done a pretty good job. And he is a comic book lover. But I think Kevin did a good job when he had oversight on him. You had Pert Mutter, is that his name? The Disney guy?
think so.
Pert Muddler,
Yeah.
or whatever his name was. That guy had oversight, and Kevin hated that dude because he was like, "No,
Yeah.
Kevin, you can't do that. No, Kevin." But you know what? When they took away that control and gave Kevin complete control, shit went right down. Because Perlmutter, that guy kept the rein on it, and seeing as he kept a cap on Kevin and said, "No, you can't do that. No, back up a little bit. Or what have you." Kevin did a great job. He did a really good job. And then when he was given carte blanche, shit has gone down. So maybe the lesson here is that directors should never be given carte blanche. Maybe that's what
I didn't
it
know
is.
I
If I didn't
agree,
know any better,
actually.
Chester, it sounds like you're advocating for structure.
Yeah.
Oh, how dare you, sir?
How dare I?
No, I agree. I think very few directors, even the best ones, even ones we would all probably agree are really great, if they don't have somebody there to tell them no, they're
Mm.
just going to do whatever they want, and they're just going to give you nonsense. Like George Lucas is the best example. The prequels are not a great series of movies, but the storyline
Yep.
throughout is pretty good. He's just not the man to execute it. The original
Well, he's an
trilogy,
idea man and a cinematographer.
exactly.
That's what he
The
is, yeah.
original trilogy, another had a decent storyline. I think the prequels had a better overall storyline, but that's arguable. But regardless, he didn't direct the best Star Wars movie ever made, and in
No.
fact, he kind of got pushed to the side during the making of that movie because the studio and the first one made so much money and stuff. He obviously was still a big voice, but he wasn't the only voice.
Well,
And
there's a
That's why
re
it was such a good film,
It's
I
true, and
think.
and there's a reason why you don't see tons of George Lucas movies, but you see tons of Spielberg movies, is
Yeah,
because he was noisy and troublesome. Where
yeah.
Spielberg was like, "Hi, okay, all right,"
All right,
and
fine.
that's why you see so many of those. Because I mean, think
Right.
of what we've got from him. Sure, he created Star Wars, which is in one of those eternal IPs. But
Mhm.
what else have we got from him? We got American Graffiti, which came in between, right? Which is a pretty solid movie. The second one sucks balls on a major level, and we got
Yeah,
Red Wings, which is okay,
yeah. It exists.
yeah.
Are we
But I
not
mean,
It's
talking
a
about the
it's a film.
THX film?
oh,
Oh,
that
yeah,
one
that
too, the
too.
one before, yeah,
That
that
was his
one.
first one, wasn't
That's
it?
what kind of
Yeah,
broke him out. So, but I'm just
Yep.
yeah.
saying that there's a reason why there aren't 50 to 100 Lucas films, whereas you have that kind of, well, I don't know how
Right.
many it is, but you have a lot of Spielberg movies. Because keep in mind they were contemporaries and friends.
They're
Right?
best
It's because
friends, actually, really close
because
friends.
Spielberg knew how to work with corporate and Lucas didn't.
Yes. Lucas, like we said, he's not very good at humaning. He doesn't know how to get along with people, and it shows. And that's okay. Those sometimes people like that are necessary to make great things, and he did make a great thing. Whether you like the man or not, you can't take it away from him. Even though he sold it, he was upset because we hurt his feelings, idiot. But
Yeah, well, that was a mistake. Yeah, but yeah, no, I see what you're saying. But we're getting this movie the Green Hornet guys. The only thing I can hope is with the guy they have in charge
hopefully
that
it's
he's
good.
going to change the genre and it's going to be much more of a serious horror detective type of show. And I don't know, maybe it'll be cool.
I
Or
would like them to just lean into the pulp aspect of it because we haven't had good pulp in God
or
knows how long.
maybe that
Yep.
too. Yeah.
Let it be
Uh,
campy as shit.
But
Just
you're
do it.
getting, but well, see, I don't like that. And that's the thing I want to make about Seth Rogen film. Um, a lot of times when they take the old stuff, they want to yuck it up. They want to joke it out and parody it.
Mhm.
They've done that many, 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 many times, right? And I
Yeah.
don't think there's any need for that because they think, oh, it's old. No one will take it unless we make it a joke. That's bullshit. And we've seen many people prove that over the years. But
Well, there's a difference between Rogan style comedy and camp. Like especially Americans have a terrible time pulling it off anymore. But
Yeah.
when you do camp well, yeah, it's tongue in cheek, but it's not necessarily just for laughs. It's not necessarily just for yucks. Like a good example, the Emperor. I'm going to keep going back to Star Wars for some reason, but the Emperor's performance in Revenge of the Sith is very campy. It's over the top, melodramatic. Um, but it's not meant to be funny, right? It's not. He's not doing that as a joke. He's just playing his character in that way because the Emperor's supposed to be that at this time. So there's a way to do it and not have it be this is so silly and old. It just takes the right director to pull it out.
yeah,
And
no,
I don't know if this guy's that guy, but it could be interesting with the right property to
yeah,
bring back actual
yeah.
camp again.
It was a weird headline when I saw it, and then I realized who that director was. I was like, "Huh, that's odd." And I do need to go check out The Invisible Man, the remake, because I haven't seen it yet. Then again, I don't think a lot of people saw it. But has anyone
No.
seen The Invisible Man? Anybody?
Nope,
No.
I'd never
Uh,
even heard of it.
well, well, it's just a remake, a modern telling of it. I didn't go because it's not a spoiler. You can see in the trailer, but it's not the actual Invisible Man. It's not that story at all. It's completely different, and it's technologically based. Now, I guess you could say the whole potion aspect with Invisible Man is technology, sure, but I don't know why they keep refusing to retell the original Invisible Man. They keep giving us like Hollow Man, with Kevin Bacon, which is a fun movie. It's a good fun movie, but
Mhm.
it's once again, it's not really the Invisible Man. But I'll have to go check it out. Anyway,
Last Invisible Man movie think I watched wasn't it? I think it came out in the '90s. Memoirs of the Invisible Man.
oh yeah, that was with
Chevy Chase. Sam Neill was the bad
Yeah.
guy.
Good old
oh yeah,
Chevy.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's how
yeah,
long ago that it's been.
yeah. But they've tried many times, but they just never. I mean, because the original, and I actually suggest this is one of the old black and white movies I suggest you go watch. because that's certainly an acquired taste for younger viewers. But you should go watch that one because what the movie's really, in the book itself, and I've read the book. It's a great book. What it's really about is the pursuit of a thing that destroys you utterly. Is what the story is
Moby
about.
Dick.
Well, in a way, it is a Moby Dick-esque story. So it's much more about his psychological degradation and the destruction he wroughts upon himself, right?
The cost of obsession.
Right. But in modern times, it's either like with the one Grimlock just mentioned, it's this kind of quirky love story, or it's more about the predation of him. He becomes it's more like a Mr. Hyde, and that's not really what the Invisible Man is. That's not the story. It's a story of self-destruction, and I really wish someone would tell that story again in a modern setting, but they don't. Like this modern one I know is this guy really wants to just get rid of his wife, and he goes to these elaborate technological means to do so. So it's more of a predator. And it's I don't know how you read the book or watch the movie, and that's your take on it. I just don't understand. I mean, yeah, sure, he does assault some people, but it's because he's out of his fucking mind. But it's not about them; it's about him. And they never get that. I don't know what's going. I don't know why. Well, whatever.
It's kind of like one of the main reasons I don't want Disney anywhere near my boy Beta Ray Bill. They're gonna make Beta Ray Bill into a goof.
Oh, you
They're
know
gonna
they
make
will.
him into something he's not. And Beta Ray Bill is a beautifully I genuinely believe he's Marvel's best written character because he's a character that has no business being as popular or as well done as he is, and he just is. They just knocked it out of the park pretty
Yeah, it
much
was Beta
right
Ray's
away with
great.
Beta Ray Bill.
And
And
it's
it's
an
that
alien,
level of
by the way.
yes,
You don't know.
that level of nuance, that level of what's the word I'm looking for? Competency. I just don't see that coming out of the MCU right now. I just don't. Not in that you have to write that character and do it right would take an unbelievable performance by an actual actor, not just CGI, and a script that is second to none. And I don't believe they could pull that out right now. I just have no faith in it.
Let me close on asking a question to everybody. I'll start with Grimlock. So far this year, 2022, what's the best movie you've seen?
I haven't. There's the only two movies that I have been remotely interested in watching. I've bought The Northman. I still haven't watched it, and probably No Way Home. Other than that, there's been absolutely nothing that I've seen that interests me.
Wow. Thundero?
The Batman.
The Batman. Ben?
So I'm a bit more of an artsy guy, so that's gonna
No.
kind of I know, right? Everything Everywhere All at Once was I
Oh
think a
yeah,
really
that
good
too.
film.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really good too. Yeah.
that from a cerebral perspective, really kind of doing the quote unquote multiverse and talking about how choices matter in our lives and we take choices for granted and stuff. But that was an extremely solid film. That was really good.
I haven't
I'm
seen
gonna
that one yet.
just to prop that one up a little bit more. You know how you were talking about nihilism being a problem, Chester? That
Oh,
movie
yeah.
is anti-nihilism.
That's
It's
good.
very good.
And I hear Michelle Yeoh actually puts on she
She
actually
actually acts.
Yeah,
Yes.
shocking. Yeah. I think my answer is actually a movie that's not from 2022, the best thing I've seen this year, but I don't know. It's a toss up between The Northman and Batman, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, Northman was pretty good, but it could have
Honestly,
been
I've been
better.
saying it all year. I've been saying it since last year. Every movie I've seen in theater in the last 7 months or so, I've really enjoyed. Even if they weren't necessarily great, like Uncharted. There have been and that movie's fine. It's not really Uncharted, but it's fine. There have been very few for me, mainly just because I'm being more judicious, missteps that I've watched, and some of them were very surprising to me that they were as good as they were. The only one that wasn't was the Batman because I knew that was going to be good, and I was right. Thank you.
Mhm.
But other than that, every movie I've spent the time since really about November when I went and watched that abortion that was the last James Bond movie. Everything else has been solid, solid to great, like the Batman and the Northman and everything, everywhere, all at once. Uh, Hollywood has actually in the last years, half a year, been bringing out some solid movies with good directing, with competent storytelling. I don't know if it was because they had a bunch of spare time during COVID. I have no idea, but somebody got their shit together recently, and I've been very happy as a moviegoer because I love going to the movies. I love cinema.
Sure.
For a long time, it was what I was going to do with my life. I literally was going to schools and things, getting ready to. That's what I wanted to be. So when Hollywood sucked for the last little while here, it really sucked. That's not fun. That's one of my favorite things to do is go watch a good movie and just get lost in it. And they forgot how to make me do that for a while. But the last little bit here, they've done a very good job. They've been doing somebody there. I don't know who it is. I don't know who gets all the praise. Maybe it's a group of people. I don't know. But somebody's got a bunch of people give them a kick in the ass and said, "Hey, remember how to make movies? Go do that." And that's what they've been doing, just making good movies.
That's good to hear.
Crazy idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the two movies I saw this year that weren't from this year that are actually my favorite films of the year that I've seen personally. I'm sure I'm going to get disagreements, but they're both from 3 years ago, 2019. And the first one is a Mel Gibson movie called The Professor and the Madman. I adore that movie. It's freaking epic. It's about the creation of the Oxford Dictionary. Come at me. Come at me.
You would love that movie. Yeah, that screams you all over.
Yeah, it's awesome. But actually, my favorite movie I've seen this year, and my God, dude, I had to fight that entire movie not to bawl. Jesus. Tom Hanks as Fred Rogers in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Oh my God, dude.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah.
Oh, so good. And they took a different angle than I would expect. But watch that movie, especially if you're around my age, when you grew up with Mr. Rogers, and not shed a tear. Oh my God, it was so brutal, dude. I was fighting the whole damn movie because Tom Hanks, he owned that shit, dude.
Tom
Daryl,
Hanks is
you
one of the
wouldn't
best.
like it. It's full of woke stuff, so you know. you
Oh,
wouldn't
that's a
like it.
shame. Tom Hanks is one of the best living actors. Genuinely, he's just so good. He's ridiculous. When he brings his A game, he might be the best of all time. Honestly,
Oh, he is good.
he's just so good.
And last year I saw him in another really good movie. It was in Saving Mr. Banks. He played
Yeah.
Walt Disney. Oh, that was good too. But yeah, no, go watch the A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Oh, it's so good, dude. I don't know when, Grimlock, did you ever see Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? Did you grow up with it? You did.
Yeah.
Okay, and Thunder, you must have.
I forgot all about that movie.
Of course,
Yeah,
of course, yeah, absolutely. I was actually excited when I heard that they were making that movie because of all the men throughout the history of television that deserves it. It's Mr. Rogers.
Oh yeah,
he was
he's a
just
wonderful
a
man.
genuinely good man.
Good human.
And that's rare in the world.
We need a lot more of them. And the thing is, I saw an interview as well with Tom Hanks talking about doing that role, and he was so epically nervous. He said, "I've never been so nervous doing a film in my life."
Yep.
And you can see the respect coming out of him. I really loved it. I know it's not from this year, but that was a great movie. I really appreciated it. But as far as the stuff this year, The Northman, it could have been better. It could have been better.
Yep.
It's not Egger's best, but it was pretty solid as far as an art film. And as far as a straight kind of Hollywood film, I would say Batman.
Yeah. I told you so, Chester. I get to do it. I get to say "told you so." I told you it was going to be a good movie.
But you're only half right.
I'll listen to this guy.
Because Pattinson had nothing to do with that movie being great.
I disagree, sir. I think his what's the word I'm looking for? His vaporiness, meaning he's kind of irrelevant, is exactly what that movie needed. Because we needed one, he does have a character arc, and I do think he's gonna take more of a bigger stage, if you will, because you know what I'm saying. In the next one, they're gonna really develop him. But I think
they will. I think you're right.
His lack of emoting and his lack of like really presence is a good word, was intentional, and I think he acted it that way because
He
the
did.
Batman doesn't
We
know
know
who
he
he
can
is
act
yet.
too. We know he's capable.
Yeah, he's still figuring out how to be this being,
Yeah.
right? And that's the whole point of that movie. So I think that was very intentional, and also it allowed him to show us that Gotham is also a character. The whole city is,
It's true.
and we got to see that and feel it, and I love that about it. That's why I love that movie so much, because he does such a good job. The director does, whose name escapes me at the moment, does such a
Reeves,
good job.
Matt Reeves.
Matt Reeves. Yeah.
Of bringing Gotham
Yeah, he
to
did a
life
good
as
job.
a character.
You
Yeah.
know, the only thing I was a little disappointed in the movie, and not greatly, just a little bit, was Commissioner Gordon. And
Yep.
it's that actor. I can't think of his name. I saw him in the West something,
Westworld?
Westworld.
Westworld.
Yep.
Yeah. And I've seen him in a couple other things. That's a good actor. That dude is solid actor. And I expected more out of him. I just didn't kind of like his take on, man, I don't know. It just bugged me a little bit. Not a lot. I think he did fine, but I expected him more. I expected his Gordon to be better, is all.
Pattinson gets credit for
Commissioner
me
Gordon,
because
he's Commissioner Tyrone.
Okay, fine.
Pattinson gets credit for me because he could do the entire film without doing duck lips once within the suit. So he gets
That's true.
he gets credit for that.
That's
so.
fair.
Did no
That is
duck.
fair. That is fair. And on the Tyrone comment, we shall end it. So, Grimlock, would you like to add to Tyrone?
Don't call him. He ain't reliable.
All right, that's fair. He's a Madden king, huh? All right. Ben?
I love it.
I have to add on to the Tyrone comment?
Yes,
I don't
you
want to add
do.
on to that.
That's what
No,
that's what you have to do. Yes.
No. I refuse.
All right, fine. I'm noticing here in my Streamlabs that I've there's some extra things here I'm not using. Do you know I can actually add into my chat cloud bots?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to do that, Ben? No, he's not going to answer me. I just have to.
Gone.
I just have to
Done it.
imaginate it. All right, well, take us out of here, Thunder.
I think I'm going to do this one. I haven't done it for a while. Charity is not for the weak. Charity is not a show of strength. We do not engage in it for strength. We engage in it for one day we might be weak, or even once we were. Charity is an admission of our own mortality, the humility and fragility of our own lives, realized through a simple act of grace.
Namaste. And get off my damn lawn, Tyrone.
Can't say that, just racist.